I'm creating a college basketball team and rebuilding them until we win a national championship in College Hoops 2K8. I was actually setting up a completely different video for today, but then I noticed that there was a create a school feature, and I'd heard of this program called Grand Rapids out of Michigan, so I've decided to bring them to the game, rebuilding them until we win a championship. I've been reading the comments. I know you all want me to bring this team back, and we get to rebuild them as a college basketball program. And some of the customization in this game just blows me away. We get to name our student section. We have set our rivals in the state of Michigan, of course. You can also select a mascot that you want. You have a fight song that you can select. Look at Stanford's mascot from way back then. It looks so insane, more than it does now. But I will say, unfortunately, with having a mastodon as our mascot, there's not really one of these that's going to reflect us too well, so this is what we're going to have to stick with. While for our stadium, we have more variations to choose from as a generic than we would on College Football 26. I think it makes sense as a small school. We just go with the smallest one. And there's just so many little details about the school that you actually have control over. I've even got to sit here and decide what type of basket we want in our arena. I was also able to design the court ourselves. The logo is unfortunate. It's the one thing I wish I could change about this system, where we could import our past logo, because there weren't many options to choose from. And before we hop into Dynasty, we are actually going to make our arena even smaller, because if you remember Grand Rapids, it wasn't a huge school. Now, if you just look at our roster compared to the rest of our conference, it's not going to be very good in this first year or for a couple of years. But I am so excited to start this Dynasty. Now, we do have to choose one school that's going to leave the MAC to replace with Grand Rapids. It's like College Football 26. We're just going to get rid of NIU. They've left for the Mountain West in real life anyway. And another really neat thing I discovered is there's not just created teams that you can import into your dynasties, but you could also import classic teams going all the way back to 1955 if you really wanted to. With everything finally set up, I am just ready to dive into this. The first thing that we're going to care about is who are we able to sign. If you wanted to, you could also create a recruit, but we have 9 scholarships available because a lot of the guys on our roster are seniors. Now, I'm smart enough to know that at any school, you can get about a 60% interest out of 5-star players, but for you to have a real chance at winning some of these guys over, the seniors' interest needs to be somewhere around like this 80-90%, and then you have an actual chance at winning these battles. For a while, until we can get some success in the MAC conference, probably winning the conference championship and getting to the actual tournament, we're just going to be stuck going after 3 stars with zero chance of any players rated higher. They will be more than good enough than most of the guys on this roster, though. There's one freshman point guard I am excited about in our future. He's a walk-on, but he is 75 three-pointer. We're going to redshirt him this season. Or we're not going to do that because apparently he's already used a redshirt. We're going to make him our starting point guard so he can develop. There's literally so much to cover in this dynasty, from going through your assistants, from being able to decide what you want to recruit priority-wise, from setting your offense up. The depth in this game mode for when it was released back in 2007 is insane. And then, of course, there's the trophy room you can walk around in that will fill up as we have success in this video. I think I mentioned this within the first couple minutes every single time I play this game. I just love some of the detail that you can find as well. We can look into more information about the MAC conference, and we also will get a conference rank as this season goes on. You'll see all the leaders listed out. I think there's a lot of stuff that new sports games could take from this. But eventually, I just have to dive in and start saving this team. I don't think the roster makeup's correct because I mentioned our freshman point guard. It says we have no freshman point guards on there, so I don't think I can take this as actual advice. With 9 scholarships available, I'm just going to have to sign at least 1 player at every position. And another thing I could also mention is we could recruit players going all the way into their freshman year of high school. I just don't typically do it. From their early years, I think you can request a game tape, maybe send some emails, but it doesn't make a huge impact by the time they get to their senior year. What will make a big impact, like for Corey Bain, the 115th best player in this class, a 3-star that wants to come to our school, is where they're located, so he's in our region, he's from Illinois, and also how much success you're having on the court and playing time. We can actually see what each recruit prioritizes once we get more information about them while we're recruiting them. And I've already decided the small forward is going to be our key target in this class because he's the most interested as a 3-star in coming to our school, and he averaged 18 points per game in the ABL. Very early on into his recruitment, we can actually invite him to campus, but none of us have a good charisma, which means these pitches aren't going to be that powerful. We need to find an assistant coach with much higher charisma than B-. It doesn't take too long after you start to contact these players to get a good idea where you're at on their board. Right now, we're in first place for Corey Bain. We're also in first place for this point guard, but I found a point guard that's 5'9" and better than him. We're going to have to compete with Missouri for him. The last key player I will mention in this class, because we got a long way to go, is this 7-foot center. But the issue is he's from New Jersey, so nowhere near Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's just he's 7 feet tall, he's highly ranked, and Fairfield can't be a better option than our school. His number 1 priority is getting playing time, and I know for a fact that we can offer that to him immediately. So we're probably going to be visiting him in his home. We're going to be emailing him, giving him phone calls every week, while also not just searching in the States, but worldwide for some other prospects that we could add to our team. Like this power forward from Senegal, we actually have a really good chance at landing him because no one else seems to know he exists. And for now, we want to bring in as many players as possible to our school. Once we can start offering them scholarships, that's when we'll start to get commits in the coming weeks. But it's simply not going to happen for the 7-foot center. Fairfield offered him a scholarship, and they have such a lead that we're just going to have to pull out of him. If there's one position where it's hard to find talent on this game, it is definitely center. And honestly, for being a first-year program, I don't feel like we stack up that poorly against other competition like Northern Iowa, but we've already got a 28-day injury. That is not good news in a 14-point loss. In fact, we actually have 2 injuries, and it's going to be to 2 of our best 3 players, so that's the type of luck that we're having. But honestly, for this first season, I don't plan on playing much. We had 3 games in a row, and the only way we're going to improve is if we can make some signings, but Corey Bain has now fallen to 2nd place for us. Other schools are just jumping us out of nowhere. So far, you can see that we're scheduling stuff like 4 visits a week, but we've only won 1 game, and we're probably going to lose to Lamar. No, we picked up our 2nd win. Players can actually start to commit this week, so this is a huge moment for us. Any commits popping up, Corey Bain signed with someone else. We were going so hard after the small forward because he was ranked highly and he still chose Bradford. He had an A shot. That is so good for a small forward. Point guard 5'9", Stanley Randall, I think we're still in first place for, but he hasn't committed to our school. And with him plus Baker Gwang, he's a 7-1 center. Both of them we need to commit in the next week, or else we're going to have to wait until the end of the season before there's another opening. I've been doing visits at their house, hoping that is enough to move the needle, but it turns out that it wasn't. We came so close. We got to 98% on the 7-1 center, and he still didn't choose our school. So by the end of the season, we're most likely not going to be in first place for some of these players, though we don't have that much competition. And as we head into the new year, we just lost to our biggest rivals opening up MAC conference play against Western Michigan, so that's unfortunate. It was actually 97-60. We have a long way to go to be competitive in the MAC. And despite all the effort I've put into recruiting, our lack of success has really taken a hit to how interested some of these prospects are. You're going to see that even on Stanley Randall, we're getting passed up by schools like Marquette because we have 4 wins mid-year, and we've run out of visits to do with them, so all we can do is keep calling their phone and emailing them, which doesn't really move the needle. I knew that things were going to be really ugly in this first season. I mean, our only win in the next month would be over Western Michigan, who's 19-6, so that is cool to take down our in-state rivals an hour down the road. But I didn't know that it was going to be this ugly, and it says we have 0 job security. I'm not sure if I can get fired or not, but there's no way to turn it off. Even though we'd end the season with 2 more wins over rival schools Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan, we're headed into our conference tournament at 7-21, which is clearly going to make us the worst team in our conference. All of these other programs were very evenly matched with each other. Looking at our tournament tree, we're going to have to take on Bowling Green, then we'd have to play Miami, Ohio. We're not winning 4 straight games to win the conference, so the most I can do is just hope that they aren't going to fire me in my first year. I mean, I have 0 hope for this game. We were literally only able to win a couple conference games all year. We lost by 7. But next year, we are 100% hopping in to play the conference tournament with our new recruits. We didn't have a single player score more than 10 points per game, and a lot of these guys are seniors that are going to leave. At the end of the season, UCLA was able to win it all. They had a 74 overall starting for them, so this just kind of gives you an idea of a roster that could make a deep run. They were just a 3 seed. Looking at the overalls of Western Michigan that won our conference, again, these are achievable things we could do. They had an 11 seed in the tournament. Their coach is going to win Conference Coach of the Year. They had the Conference Player of the Year. We're not going to have any guys listed. And like I was saying, we needed to do a really good job in recruiting if we were going to be half decent this next season, because we just lost a ton of players. I'm really just hoping that I'm not getting fired after 1 season. I would hope that they'd give us a couple years to improve. We can't make any of our attributes go up because we did nothing to impress. And it turns out I've not been with my current team long enough to get any offers, so I think I also haven't been with them long enough to get fired. This is actually incredible news. Some of the other changes you can see right there. I wish we had some of these coach names actually in the game, but I think everything back then had to be generic. We need to have an assistant that has higher charisma. That means firing one of them. This was something that I really was looking into this season so we could do better in recruiting. I like a guy with B+. And 20 years ago, there were some players transferring, but it was so few that we can basically expect to never get any transfers in this video. Now, as we start our offseason recruiting, we have 9 spots to fill on this team, and we really need to look into some of these players that we have a chance for and ones that we don't. Like Stanley Randall, I think we just have to accept, he's going to accept a scholarship from Marquette. Do we have a chance at this 7-1 center? We do, because the other school pulled out. But on the other center we were going after, Brian Cunningham, he was Mr. Basketball from Idaho. I don't think that's that challenging to do. He still has other offers, so we're not going to get him. I really just had to hope that by the time we got to the end of the week, we would pick up at least one signing. Stanley Randall chose another school. Apparently this last guy just added to our board also chose someone else. Keep in mind, when I decided to make him a target, nobody else was even interested, so I don't know where Pittsburgh came from, but look at that. We have made one signing, and we still have another 8 to go. For some of these worldwide prospects, I think we're going to be able to close them out, but we might be so far behind that it's not possible for us to actually win out on these battles, which does concern me a little bit. And then for a guy like Doyle Hughes, he had nobody that wanted him just a week ago, but now all these schools have come into the picture. Of course, I could always go down the route of signing 1 and 2 stars to really make sure we fill up this roster, but I just know that they're not going to be any good. So I am willing to waste resources on guys that we might not land, just with the hope that we get some better players than what's available. It turns out in a couple of the final weeks, some more players that just wanted a place to get playing time have decided to sign with our school, which is good news. We were actually able to get 2 7-1 centers. I'm not sure which one of them is going to start. We still have these worldwide players that we are hoping to land as well. And it didn't take long for a couple of those guys to come to their senses, but as we approach this final week, I don't think we're going to get guys like Chris Grizzard. So you can call me stupid, but I'm actually going to pull his scholarship away and then give it to Kelvin Joins, who's from Tempe, Arizona. Arizona and Arkansas both have not offered this JUCO sophomore point guard a scholarship, so I feel like we could make a late push as long as we invite him to visit our campus in Grand Rapids, which actually worked out. It was the only way that we had a chance at heading into season 2 with all of our scholarship spots filled. We might have done it. Well, it turns out we only made 8 signings. On the power forward from Senegal, he actually decided he'd rather not play in the US. So Alex Dillon, a 6'10 power forward from Australia, is the only power forward that we got in this class, though he's very tall. I'm completely fine with him. I just don't know how good a lot of the international players are going to turn out for us, or the JUCOs. We at least have an idea with the high school players because we could see where they were ranked in their class. If you compare what we did versus the rest of the MAC conference, a lot of these schools are going to sign 3-star players. It's going to be a lot harder to get our edge until we can actually start to win. But at least of like the 360 schools in the country, we were the team that brought in the most 3-stars in 1 year. And if you're wondering how desperate I am to have a better start to our season this year, look at some of these schools that are on our schedule. I haven't even heard of Savannah State before. Apparently they were an independent back in 2007. I'm not sure if NGIT exists anymore either, but I feel like they do, and they're just under a different name. It is time to look at our roster. For the first time, some of the guys that we brought in, like Decky Herber from Germany, is going to be a 70 overall small forward. That is a very good addition to this team, because last year I think we were starting like 62 overalls. And another really neat thing about this game is players can grow. Doyle Hughes was a 7'1 center, but since coming to college, I think he's gotten up to 300 pounds. I don't know if he was when we recruited him, but he also grew from 7'1 to 7'2. It also turned out to be a smart decision to recruit Kelvin Joins, the point guard, because he's going to be the highest overall point guard we have on this roster. As you can see, our guards are not that high of an overall versus our big men. So with that in mind, we're going to change our offensive playbook to the UCLA high post. And another thing we're probably going to have to do is just give pep talks to all our players so their confidence can rise, since I think we're starting 5 true freshmen on this team. Now our roster makeup is actually correct. It looks like we have 3 seniors, so 3 more scholarships to use. Except now we can be a little bit more intentional about the players that we decide to go after, and we actually have 4 scholarships since we only signed 8 of the 9 last year. I completely forgot about that. We'll see how many of these players we can actually go after. Just got to filter out juniors. That's something that's annoying. Even though it probably helps us in the long run, every so often I'll find myself recruiting a player that can't actually come to college for a couple of years because I didn't check his class. And I do still need to be somewhat realistic on the players that we could actually land. I found someone from Chicago that I would love to get, but Ball State seems to be the favorite, and it's the same way with all these other schools. Eastern Kentucky, the favorite for this power forward. For this shooting guard, we're barely cracking the top 5. So at the end of the day, it's hard to decide who should actually get our scholarship offers. And yes, I scheduled Mississippi Valley State for our opening matchup because I just wanted us to have some success. I know that we have a super young team, but if our guys can't pull this one out, then we're going to stand no chance throughout the rest of the year. There we go. We were able to drop 74 points on them, holding them to just 41, but nobody in our offense really had a huge game outside of Herbert. Even though he's not the best shooter in the world, he has stats like 64 three-pointer. I can tell that he's going to have a special season. But unfortunately, when it comes to recruiting some of these 3-stars out of high school, I don't think we're pulling in a very special class because we have fallen behind in so many of these battles to where it's not looking very good for us. As much as I've wanted us to just play catch up, and we've been performing well on the court, I don't think that we're going to see almost anyone commit to us. As you can see, signed with somebody else, probably getting signed with somebody else. And the worst part about Peter Moliva choosing Ball State is now we have to face him in conference play for 4 years. Eastern Kentucky gets the power forward. On this shooting guard ranked 126th in the country, we actually looked like we were going to pull away until Kansas State offered a scholarship. So we're back to square one, just going after some international players and hoping by the end of the season that they actually want to come to our school. With the success that we've been having on the court, though, I'm hoping that can help us out a little bit. We did go 7-3, no 8-3 in our first 11 games before getting to conference play. This is probably where things get a lot more difficult, but that's because we just don't stack up to these teams the same way. For example, our biggest rivals and best team in our conference last season, Western Michigan, is a few overalls higher. They also have a lot more experience. I expected us to lose this game, but I'm hoping by the end of the season we can make more progress on some of these recruits and we can finish with about a 500 record. My only goal is not getting fired, which is why I think the easier non-conference schedule somewhat helped with it. Our job security jumped up a little bit, and at least at the moment our roster is fully healthy. We're not dealing with any injuries, which is super nice. However, there are a couple players that are unhappy and they're threatening to transfer because their confidence dropped. This is how you keep them to stick around. But here's the thing, you only get 10 pep talks a season. We used 8 of them on our guys that are actually on the court to make sure that they were confident throughout the year, and for the rest of these players, they're either seniors that are going to graduate, or if they transfer, I don't care if they leave. Even Eamon Burley. I was a little delusional. I thought the former walk-on could have turned into a point guard that we actually played this season. But so far, he's barely seen the court, and he should be proud that he's averaging 2.9 points per game. Our best player is actually Kelvin Joins. Him being one of the last players I've recruited ended up being one of the best decisions I could have ever made. As you can see, our conference play actually went really well. So well that we finished tied for second place in our conference. This is enough to be a top 4 seed, which means we get a first round bye in the conference tournament, though most of our conference is very even. And if we just take a look at this tournament tree, Kent State put up 88 points on Eastern Michigan, so that could be a problem for us in this quarterfinal. Now, I might regret this since they're a higher overall team, but they went 15-16. So I feel like this is a game that we could simulate and win. It's taken place on Cleveland State's court, and I am so glad that we came out on top by 4. I really didn't want to have to wait another year to hop into a game with Grand Rapids, but I also want to only play games, since they take a long time to get through, that have somewhat of an impact on our program. If we win 2 matchups, we are going to find ourselves with an NCAA tournament bid in Season 2. What I learned the last time I played this game, though, is with a roster like this, that is very hard to do, since I'm not that good at this game. I play on the second hardest difficulty, but we're going to see if we can pull off the win or not. Kelvin Joins ended the season actually averaging less than 10 points per game, so he started to score a little bit less. Decky Herbert was our number 2 option. And if we look around our conference, we'll be able to see that we're the 12th best conference in the country. Western Michigan went 22-7. We might actually have a 2-bid league. It really all depends on what their RPI is, and they're listed at 28. I think they make the tournament either way. They average the most points per game, while Buffalo averages the most rebounds per game, steals per game, blocks per game. And we're fortunate that we don't have to play them since they're coming off of a loss to Toledo, but that might just mean that the Rockets are even better. Ever since I last played this game, I've been itching to do it again. I'm so excited to see what we can do. And we'll see who can get on the board first. We just pulled off a steal with our 7-2 center. We're going to kick it out wide, and Herbert is actually stuck. Hang on. Now the plan is feed it down low to Hughes. Let him abuse that 7'2" height. I am going to mention that about 1,000,000 times because size makes a huge difference. We were able to disrupt that shot. You can't forget about Herbert either. He's one of our key players, dishing it out to Joins for a shot that we can't hit, but you know who gets that board. So this is an incredible start for us. I haven't played with somebody that is this tall on this game. I'm starting to see how these freshmen could have made a good impact on this team, though. Can't be shooting those contested shots. And as they drive in, they get their first bucket and a foul. You can also see in the background Toledo's massive mascot. I think it looks ridiculous, but I noticed it whenever I was trying to select mascots for us to select, and we got another basket with Hughes. This team's actually playing really well so far, especially on the defensive side. We're trying to force traps, force steals, and we're back running down the court again. We'll slow it down. There's no reason to really be in a hurry. We're still going to feed it to Hughes. He gets the dish out, or we just passed it there instead. I literally didn't even mean to score or shoot this bucket, but I'm starting to realize we're better than Toledo. There is one thing on this game, though, that I am very bad at, and that is shooting free throws. So the goal is to not get to the line that often, and what a dish for 3. I actually can't believe how well we're playing right now. We just keep on grabbing boards with Hughes, and as we come across the pick, We have an open three with Herbert. It's another three-pointer. This is wild that we're doing this well with Grand Rapids. It took me like 5 seasons when I started playing with Mississippi Valley State just a couple of videos ago to actually find success, get a shot off before the end of the half. It's not going to go in. And I think we're going to earn a spot in the conference championship game. You can say what you want about these quarters being too short, but I think they're the perfect length for playing. And I have to give some credit to Toledo. They're looking a lot better in the second half. All it really took was they stopped just leaving one man on Hughes, but they're also running the court super well. I don't know why they're so adamant on staying in the defense they've been stuck in either. They're giving us shots. But the difference between the first half and the second half is we're losing the ball more. We're not hitting them. So there's still plenty of time for Toledo to come back. I really thought that we were almost unbeatable after we got off to the start that we did. I'm also a little bit more scared to just throw up anything. And it's like all of a sudden, they can't miss, or they're grabbing a board after they do miss. The sixth man effect in this game is very real. We don't want to be shooting those threes, but we have a look in the corner, and that is going to be off the mark still, but Hughes does it again. However, they are going to get down the court so fast. He actually stopped to shoot there. And now we're trying to run the court, but we throw it. We throw it away. We're actually about to blow this lead against them. Never mind. They missed. It has been very eye-opening, though. I just wish we could shoot a little bit better. I know we're sitting there taking a contested three with a guy that's got a slow release and 64 three-point shot, but I'm not used to only having basically 2 guards that can shoot. Well, we're headed to the line with Hughes. What type of free throw do we think he has? Turns out it's not awful, but we're also not going to hit either one. We're in so much trouble. We basically have just left him open, but we got a contest off at the last second, and you can see that they're about to try and double team us here, which isn't too hard to beat if you just swing it around and look for a shot. Maybe we feed in the middle? I don't know. 6 seconds left now. 5, 4. We are going to take a contested three-pointer, and Toledo gets it down low quick to hit it. They're back within 2. Well, after a reach-in foul that wasn't on purpose, the shot clock is reset, so we can get it down to about 8 seconds if they let us. But unfortunately, we threw it away, so they forced a steal. I was trying to set up a play, and that leaves 13 seconds left on the clock. Come on. Do not give up an open shot. That's not what we need. It's considered a three-pointer. It's considered a three-pointer. We better run the court super quick, dump it off to Hughes, and he loses it. He loses it. I'm telling you right now, I just choke games. I just choke games away. It doesn't matter if it's college football or college basketball. I just can't even believe that. We were cruising so hard, and then it just all fell apart. Western Michigan is going to get an 8 seed out of the MAC conference, so that still makes me feel better about our future if we can ever beat our rivals consistently. But to get to that type of level, we have to actually be able to win our conference. Tennessee won a championship as a 5 seed. And the type of roster we're going to need to be the best team in our conference is getting in guys like a 78 overall freshman. How on earth did Western Michigan find a kid like him? If you look at the first team all conference, they had 3 of those 5 guys. Of course, the freshman is one of them, so that's really concerning, but Dolly Hughes, our 6'2 center at 300 pounds, was the best freshman. At least I thought he was at the center position until I saw Miami, Ohio also had somebody there. We aren't going to lose anybody to the transfer portal, but we do lose a couple of guys to graduation. And we have only 1 attribute upgrade. I don't know if we should focus on teaching or charisma first. I want our guys to develop, but I also want to be able to recruit better. On the bright side, we're not going to lose our job, and we're actually going to get an even better assistant coach. He has a charisma. I can't overlook it. Now we can head into our offseason recruiting period, trying to get some of these worldwide players to sign, like this kid from New Zealand, or maybe this one from Puerto Rico. We have an A charisma pitch, which is very useful. But unfortunately on Kyle Cox, since we're only at like 44%, I don't think we're going to get the small forward from Australia. We're just going to have to take that scholarship and put it elsewhere. I noticed that there are a few shooting guards that Villanova is going after, but they haven't offered a scholarship to every single one. Maybe we try to get lucky with the 4-star. I don't really think we're going to be able to bring in any of these prospects, but looking at some of these battles, it seems like we might be the only one going after this shooting guard. That is exactly what we were hoping for. And I know I am probably going to regret this so bad, but it means allocating one of our scholarships away from one of our guaranteed 3-stars. If you're wondering how that idea has gone for us, well, it'll all depend on what we see right here, and other schools have come into the picture. I was still thinking that we'd at least close out on Goodrich, though, and that is exactly what we did. While the other 4-star, Lex Jonulius, decided he'd rather go to North Carolina, but I think we got the better signing because this kid is ranked 76th in his class. There's also Burt Cranford, another 4-star that I started going after, but other schools were in the mix, so I don't know where they went, but maybe we shouldn't have pulled out. And I think you can start to see why I wanted a coach that had high charisma, because he actually signed with Grand Rapids. It's It's incredible the type of classes that we're able to pull off in Season 2. What I didn't realize was the MAC conference was going to be perceived this well in this game. But it's given us a better opportunity to actually build our program up, because I know whenever I rebuilt Mississippi Valley State, those first like 6, 7, even 8 years, we were not getting 4 stars. However, it also means schools like Kansas State are signing players like that, which makes our conference a lot harder to win. Every other team was signing 2 stars in the last rebuild I did, which made it so easy to run the conference. But what's really caught me off guard was Western Michigan, the best team in our conference the past 2 seasons, actually had the worst class with 3 2-stars. I have no idea what this next season's going to look like for us, but I'm a little bit worried that we have been entered into 2 tournaments that I don't know if we want to be a part of. I don't know what our opponents are going to be. We could be losing a lot of games, and even though we had a better season last year, our job security still isn't that high. Getting fired's obviously going to be my biggest fear, but Goodrich comes in as a 77 overall. Cranford comes in as a 75. Our 3 stars from last season really aren't developing that well, though. I still think Doyle Hughes growing to 6'3" now is just going to keep getting bigger. And it turns out we have 2 scholarship slots available. Maybe we start looking at 4 stars if we were able to sign one at the end of last season. I just have a feeling that when we're this far behind from the start, we're going to get our hopes up, which is why I've decided to pivot to Ben Quick, who is a 7'1" center. I want to get another massive one. Clearly, those are guys that are going to make it a lot easier. From this view, it's a little bit easier to tell what we need, and my priority is going to be signing a guard and then, of course, that big man. But it's so hard for me to go after realistic targets whenever there's a guy like Clifton Karras, who's from Detroit, Michigan, and that's only a couple hours away from Grand Rapids. Now, when it comes to our starting lineup this year, Kelvin Joins is a senior. He's the guy that we've recruited as a JUCO. He's going to be out there for experience. Goodrich is a freshman, obviously exciting. I also noticed on Cranford, he is A+ potential. I have never found anybody on this game with A+ potential. I'm very excited to see how he develops, but you might notice that we're actually moving Decky Herbert to our 6th man because there's no way we can start him over the other small forward. But we're still trying to get good minutes for everybody out there, and I think we might as well try and switch up our offense a little bit. Just like last season, we're going to open up our season against Mississippi Valley State. I feel bad that we're doing this to them, but it is so crucial that we just get a little bit of a positive momentum boost to start the year, and that's a lot closer than I thought it would be. However, I also forgot to do our pep talks to actually boost up our confidence. Looks like the 4 stars already came in with plenty. And if I'm just being real, we got embarrassed trying to sign Ben Quick. Texas Tech already has him basically fully convinced he wants to go there. I'm telling you, it was rare for us to find as big of a center as we did, especially in year 1. I can't believe we pulled that off. Marquette is in this little bracket, by the way. We're not going to make it out of the region. I can't imagine the College Hoops Classic going that well for us, but we just beat Marquette. That's actually nuts. We finished with a 5-point win. Hughes had 19 points on him. So we get to advance to this part of the College Hoops Classic. Belmont probably going to be a little difficult, but San Francisco and Southeast Missouri are on the other side of the bracket. I guess I thought the quality of team in this tournament was a little bit higher, but it's cool with me. If we play well for another 2 games, we could actually win this thing, and we beat them by 1. Well, the championship is between us and the Red Hawks, not to get confused with Miami, Ohio. This is a completely different Red Hawk. And if you look at these other regions, Kansas State was in one of them, Rice was in this one, Auburn was in this one, so there were still a few Power 4 teams out there, but ultimately it wasn't as stacked as I thought. This was actually the perfect preseason tournament for us to be a part of. Hughes got injured along the way, but at least we were able to beat them by 3. That's just a big injury to take. I also have some good news about Mr. Basketball from Michigan, Clifton Karras. The point guard has us in first place above Ohio State. If you're from Michigan, you better not go to Ohio State. And we're starting to just send everything at him. We're inviting him to our campus. We're also going to have him on visits. So as we approach the first period where players could sign with us, we might actually have him convinced. We already picked up 1 loss this season, though. Illinois State, they were undefeated. Can't be upset about picking up a 2nd loss there. Did we make this signing, though? We did. That's one of our 2 scholarships gone. Getting Clifton Karras is actually insane. That's the best signing we have ever had. The number 58 player in the country has chosen he wants to be with us. We haven't really figured out much about him. His potential is B-. But you know what? His number 1 priority was feeling wanted. I think he just kind of threw out playing at a big program because he wanted to be close to home. That was another priority. But am I reading that right? He is not concerned with getting good coaching. Is that taking a shot at our school after he committed here? I don't know how to feel about that. There's also Jess Goodman, who would be with us for 2 seasons. He's a JUCO, 4-star power forward. We're trying to sign him, and we're staying in first place. But even with inviting him to our campus, this is a battle that is going to have to go on throughout the entire year. He's not close enough to committing. So during that time frame, a lot can change. We've reached our 2nd tournament of the year. We also got Hughes back from injury against Harvard, so we started to win again after picking up a couple of losses, which has been nice to see. Looks like we won that other preseason. I guess it's just an in-season tournament, not a preseason one. And Houston was a part of it, but this this is way before Houston was super relevant at basketball. As we head into conference play, so far I'm feeling pretty good because we have the most wins. We're the only team to reach double-digit wins in non-conference play, but we also played 14 games. So that has something to do with it. RPI's not out yet. I'm very curious where we'd be. And another thing that really makes a big difference is awareness on this game, confidence I've already talked about, but game experience as well. And Joins is the only player outside of Dylan too that has a decent bit. It's just going to take a while to build up. I mean, we know our roster is young. And I actually have some pretty bad news. I've already ran out of pep talks this season. Decky Herbert is not happy with being our 6th man. He was down to like 20% confidence. We've already used 2 pep talks on him. He's probably transferring. So even though it seemed like everything was just going perfect for us, it actually isn't. We've picked up a couple of losses in conference play so far, but I think that's expected. We're still sitting at the top alongside Western Michigan, alongside Kent State, who signed that 4-star. But I am just having to accept that without any more pep talks, some of these players, especially by the end of the year, are 100% gone. We've also been picking up some more injuries, a lot more than last season. Alex Dillon's our starting power forward. He's out. Decky Herbert, he's been out for a bit. It is what it is, though. From that moment, we went 6-2, so I think we finished with 4 conference losses, just like last year. We got a first-round bye at least. And just looking at the historical champions, I'm really hoping Western Michigan didn't finish this regular season with the title for the 3rd year in a row. Let's see, standings, we're on top, but we're tied with Western Michigan. That means we have to take a peek at our schedule, and we beat them one time, but I know we played twice this year. Did we beat them both times? We did, so we should have the tiebreaker, and that is huge. I think we are the 1 seed of the MAC conference tournament, and we got the regular season title. To do that in the 14th best conference, that's a dynamic ranking. It'll move around every season. Still very impressive. I'm hoping our RPI is actually decent, but it's 94. It's nowhere near what Western Michigan had last year. And in fact, even though they have less wins than us, theirs is a little bit higher, but we didn't play that difficult of a non-conference schedule. We are averaging 7.4 steals per game though, so we're at least getting our share of doing something right whenever we look at all of our conference stats. No stat leaders that are up here though. Top players wise, nobody here either, which is a little surprising since Doyle Hughes is now averaging almost 14 points per game. I don't know how he's only getting 3.9 rebounds per game. He's actually our 5th best rebounder at 7.3. But if we just look at efficiency ratings, we have the 6th best defense in the country off of that grade. We aren't scoring that many points though. We're very average compared to the rest of the nation. I just love how all these stats are presented. Getting ourselves far in this conference tournament is far from a guarantee though, because even though Miami, Ohio went 13-15, on paper they are very similar to us, though we beat them by 22. Next up though is Kent State. They just beat Buffalo by 33 points. This is a team that scares me a little bit more. If we win, we would be playing Central Michigan, one of our in-state rivals, in the conference championship. Does that mean that Western Michigan also lost and they did in the quarterfinal? To be honest, we might have a real pathway to getting a bid into March Madness. But I am so shaken up with how I choked that last semifinal game that if we're going to play in the conference championship after this team gets us there. Our defense might not have showed up to this game the way that they have all year, but our offense did, and they don't ever score like 92. So we can't take that for granted. Grand Rapids, in year 3 of creating this school, is in the conference championship. However, Burt Cranford, the A+ potential small forward, freshman, former 4-star, is injured. Kelvin Joins, our starting point guard, is also out. But it looks like they're still going to play in this game. We'll see if it actually lets us play them or if this is just a mistake. Keep in mind, so far Central Michigan is 15-16, so it would be a real shame if we were going to lose this. In fact, we are actually favored to win the conference, and that's just not something that I thought I would be saying. How did we lose the tip with a 7-3 center? You know, as little sense as that makes, we can't be giving up that jumper, first of all. But what I really want to talk about is look at the size mismatch of the players that they have on Hughes. He should just dominate in this game. There is nobody in this conference that comes close to being as large as him in multiple areas. But what we need out of him is to post up, take it to him, and just put this ball in the hoop. There's a foul too. I genuinely think if we did that every possession, we're going to just destroy Central Michigan. I mean, there's no way that this team can win the game. How are we almost forcing the steal when they get that ball? They're going to need a lot to go their way to come out on top, but so far it is. They're stroking it well, and Cranford is actually playing injured. He dishes that over to Dylan. You can't take this shot with our power forward, though. Now, if we can get some open three-point shots, that's going to help a ton, because so far shooting is the only thing that is keeping them competitive. And we just continue to swing it around. Not there, though. That's not where the ball is supposed to go. Clearly, we wanted to keep that a little bit closer. I mean, at least they missed the layup. They've tried to put somebody a little bit bigger down low. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, Hughes is like the best player we could have got. But I'm going to need him to stop coming up high. I don't want to get him the ball right here. though it's going to work to getting some open jumpers. And as we end this first half, I mean, you can see what they're trying to do. It doesn't matter still. And after forcing a stop, we have 7 seconds to get more points. It's always going to be frustrating when you come up a little short there. At least we still have a 5-point lead on Central Michigan. And the cheerleaders are on the court as we're trying to start the second half. Go ahead, get off. Get off the court so we can play here. You know, something that could be awesome is using the pick and roll with a 7-3 center. I haven't done that yet. I don't know why either. There was no reason not to. Trying to force a mistake here. I thought we'd block that. We have a 6'10 power forward, but he couldn't get a hand there. And another really cool thing about Hughes is his free throws are super easy to make. In fact, I feel like I've had more success shooting them with him other than some of our guards. But look at that. Open three-pointer for Cranford, who can't shoot threes. Then Dylan just goes up and snags it, but he also misses. He's not been as consistent from down low. And our lack of talent offensively has shown in this game. As well as you might think we have played, we really haven't been able to do all that. Look at Goodrich getting down low, though, getting the foul, too. And I've yet to shoot a free throw with him. That one is still falling. It's always a little nerve-wracking whenever you don't know what their form is. They have to call a timeout. We can start to put some emphasis on our defense. And I'll tell you what, we just left them open for 3. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but if we swing this around, Cranford, stop being there. I can't really get mad at him for not having a jump shot, but I keep thinking that we're going to have like the easiest three-pointer to make of all time. They better not tie this. They better not tie it. You know what? I think Cranford's probably best if you just leave him in isolation. He's going to force a lot of attention. Goodrich can actually shoot those shots, and even if we missed that too. This game's not over. Minute left on the clock, though we force a steal, and we actually need to slow this down right here. There is no reason to hurry. I think you know what the plan probably is. We're actually going to call for the quick post-up right now. Hughes, go to work. This is a foul. And if a 2-possession lead, we just have to hit one of these free throws. Like I said, it's not hard with him. I've literally gotten like 3 or 4 perfect releases, but why are we giving up a 3? I just don't understand. We got very, very lucky with that pass. I actually want to take this to the hoop, but since we can't, it's a free throw. And we missed it. We missed it. Not again. Not again. This is not how we choke away a game. We're trying to stay tight with them. 10 seconds left. That's a contested shot. Wait, we didn't grab that right there. He's going to get off a shot. Foul, foul, something, short, throw it up, it's over. Central Michigan goes down. Grand Rapids is winning the MAC for the first time in school history. The best part about this is now we get to watch the Selection Sunday show and see where we got in the tournament. I had no idea what seed we were going to be, but to get a 12 is actually incredible. We got Arkansas in the first round where we're going to try and pull off the upset. By the time this game is coming up, it was just a dislocated finger on Burt Cranford. Of course, he could play through that. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about it, but maybe that's why his shot looks so awful. That would actually make a ton of sense. Dude, even jamming your finger while playing basketball, not dislocating it, but jamming it in the first place, even that's a pain. That alone can hurt your shot. Anyway, Arkansas is a much higher overall. If we somehow get through them, we would then have 4-seeded Georgetown. But honestly, we could lose by 30, and I'd still just be happy that we made it to this point because our job security has been saved. We are no longer on the hot seat, and we were for those first couple years. We have a packed out red crowd in attendance, by the way. I think most of it would be Arkansas fans, but some of it's got to go to Grand Rapids. Dude, this guy can't win a tip. I don't know what's wrong with him. Like, I'm genuinely wondering. We already forced a steal, though, so that's a great start. We probably do need to slow it down. And I think that's going to be one of the key things we have to do in this game. We don't have that same size mismatch we did the week before. If we get to the line, though, we're missing the shot. And I think this answers the question of the crowd is mostly Arkansas fans. It is what it is, though. We're able to force a block originally and then another one down low. So our defense has come to play. Let's just give this to Hughes. Cannot miss that, though. If they take a 3 like that, we should be fine. Why are we not grabbing boards, though? I'm so used to us just winning those battles with ease. But at some point, the physical stats will go out the window, and they got over to contest that as well. So far, though, we are locking down with Goodrich. They have had nowhere to go. It's another block. I think we've pulled off 3 in this game already. But we're really just getting nothing going on the offensive end. Even pick and rolls aren't working, and the floaters missed. It's actually nuts that we haven't been able to get more than 1. And our only way of potentially having success so far is free throws. Stadium Pulse is getting to Hughes, though. He's hitting 1 of 2 every time. And at some point, our defense is not going to be perfect. We're going to give up rebounds. They're going to start hitting shots. So it's like we missed our window of opportunity to get off to a good start. Feeding it down low. and still not having success. Arkansas came out so strong against Hughes, and this kid's locking him down. He's the better number 50. They even got that board. What are we doing? How do they still have the boards? Why are we not grabbing anything? Finally! I mean, I think I've seen it all. That's a good move from Alex Dillon, though, and he tipped it in. Basket interference. But we might be able to force a 5-second violation, and we did force him to throw it out of bounds. That comes after we got our first basket from the field. Easy, open, jumper. Got to drill that. And I think we were just thinking a little bit too much about what we were doing offensively. If we really start to run the court, use some spins efficiently, and continue to still lock down on defense, we should be fine. That's a contest. We're actually going to hold for the final shot of this half, just trying to get a pick and roll out there. Didn't even go to the right player, but apparently that was a foul. So we're sent to the line, and we aren't. Oh, we are going to make it. I think this game, especially for the time it came out, does a lot of things right. This camera angle on the free throw is not one of them, though. Going to be 12-9 at half. And what I don't like the most about this team is outside of Goodrich, nobody can shoot threes, but he sure can. We've actually started to score, but so are they. It just took both teams a second to get things going, and fortunately, they do not have a good three-point shooter. By the time we reach the last 3.5 minutes, we're currently only down by 3. We needed that steal so bad. And as we run the court, we're going to try cross up, see if our senior can get in there. If not, though, we're just going to be a little more patient. And look at the way that they are backed off of Hughes. He just had to put in the work to score. We know that this is going to be a tight finish. I don't like how we're coming out of timeout, trying to press them. The idea of trying to get a steal there, too, was a mistake. But you know what? I see our best three-point shooter open. He was just a little deeper than I wanted him to be. He's out of bounds there. What a bailout. You know, that's a sign that we might not need a three-pointer in the first place, and I still hesitated. We went up. They just got another 2 right there. Now the panic starts to set in a little bit, and they almost got a steal. Cranford with his dislocated finger. We sure don't want him attempting a 3. And I know a basketball game has a lot less assets, but all the details, seeing the guys that are actually realistic as photographers on the sideline, seeing the mascots move around, see somebody come onto the court and clean off all of the sweat, it's just awesome. It's a level of detail that you don't typically get anymore. And I still can't believe that they're currently just sitting in zone. We're going to have an open 3 that should have been in. But Goodrich is kind of sold at the end of this game, and they're probably getting a bucket out of that. They are. You know, we did our best. We literally just threw it to them right there. So 9-point lead, it's over. But we still have to try and run the court super fast, and then basically just throw it away again. How is that getting blocked? You know, mistakes are what cost us this game. Missing free throws like that is just unacceptable. We need a three-pointer as soon as possible. Cranford's not the man for it. But they ended up throwing it away to us. Hang on. Finish that off. It is now a 6-point game, and we're not out of it yet. We're not out of it yet. We just got a foul. We know exactly who we don't want to get the ball in this spot. They still were able to throw it to him. And if he hits this free throw, the game's over. But hang on. They missed it. It's not done yet. We just need to get this over. Not Cranford. Not Cranford. He did hit 1-3 after the one he missed. But I was not expecting him to bury that as well. Because he wears 33 and Goodrich wears 44 foul. There was a foul on that three-pointer. But because they wear such close numbers, I get them confused. So that's the reason we pulled up with him the last time. I still think this one is done, especially with that free throw form. We got the board. We got the board. Get out to the three-point line. What are you doing? Just get off a shot already. Yeah. That's going to be game. There was a little effort there at the end, though, that gave me a lot of confidence in the future. And the national championship is going to come down to 1-seeded Florida and 4-seeded Ohio State. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised that Florida was able to win it all. They had 2 sophomores that were 90s. They're 100% leaving for the draft. But we had our share of success, too. Not only do we get to add that trophy to our trophy room, but a Conference Coach of the Year trophy as well. We're not winning Conference Player of the Year. That is going to go to Western Michigan shooting guard, but he is a senior, so he's gone. And Kent State's 4-star freshman, Dusty Triplett, was the freshman of the year in our conference. We didn't have more than one player, our center, Doyle Hughes, that was on first team all conference. We had nobody on second team all conference, just one on the freshman all conference list. So that was a little surprising. And then we had 2 players leave to the transfer portal, opening up 2 more scholarships for us to use. Once I saw that Martinas, I don't even know how to say his last name, he's from Lithuania. Once I saw he had F potential, I wasn't too worried about losing him, but C potential on the sophomore shooting guard isn't fun. And for the 2 seasons that Kelvin Joins gained to us, us, he was an incredible JUCO addition, which is why I want to sign another. Once again, just one attribute upgrade. It's going to continue to go into charisma. That's been a big help. And we have 2 scholarships open. One of them is going to go to Rodriguez, this center. I don't think North Carolina is going to offer him a scholarship. We want the big man from Venezuela. Then, of course, we're looking to bring in JUCO power forward Jess Goodman, get him for 2 years. Nobody else wants him. We still have signing Clifton Karras out of Michigan. He's going to start for us next year. But then there's that last spot on this team, and that's where we can have a lot of fun trying to find a potential 4-star to maybe fill in there. If these guys are getting pursued, though, maybe we look at the seniors. Could be a 3-star that we get as well. It's no surprise to me it only took a week for Jess Goodman to commit, but some of the other players we added to our board, we're about to find out if they went to other schools or if we actually have a chance at landing them, and it looks like on Claw's power, ASU has not given him a scholarship. These other 2 4-stars we added both decided to commit to schools that had a lot of interest. But if ASU doesn't have a spot available, I think we could get another 4-star. It's the same theory I have for the Venezuelan center, where I don't think North Carolina is going to use one of their last scholarships on him. But we are putting all of our eggs in just one basket, and sure enough, Claw's power has signed with Grand Rapids. We're also getting Rodriguez. So we continue to just one-up the classes that we're bringing in. The MAC conference is incredible. We are signing 4-stars very early on. With Buffalo signing classes like this, though, it's still going to be a much tougher conference for us to win. I'm just excited for the future. 3 of their best signings are all point guards, by the way. And it looks like Kent State did fail to get 4-stars again. They signed 4 shooting guards as 3-stars. What are they doing? It did never register in my mind for whatever reason that the computer recruiting back then, whenever this game came out, might not have been that efficient. We were one of the teams with the most 4-star signings this year. And I think from here on out, I shouldn't even edit our schedule. We want our RPI to actually go up every year. We're coming off of a March Madness appearance and a conference championship. We're not going to be fired for quite a while. Looking at this roster, Goodrich is still going to be our best player. Cranford right behind him. Claw's power, though, comes in at number 3. And I have to decide whether he or Burt Cranford is going to play power forward for us. I think it has to be power. It's going to drop him by a couple overalls, but he can at least have a chance at making some of his 3-point shots. Jess Goodman, by the way, has passed up Alex Dillon, who has been starting at power forward for us forever. Never mind, this is the JUCO we brought in. I think I'm going a little insane and losing my mind. Doyle Hughes, though, is just a 71. With the way that I want to build out our rotation this year, we're only going 8 deep on our bench, and I think this is a solid approach. We're actually going to redshirt guys like this center who has B potential, but he's a junior. He's 7'2". He was one of the first players that I recruited, and it says we have no scholarships available, which I don't understand because we still had a senior point guard on our team. That makes this entire season super boring. There is literally nothing for me to do until we get up to tournament time, because no matter how we play in the regular season, it's not going to matter. We are not going to be good enough to get in at large bid. And it only took a couple games for us to already see an injury. I wanted to look at our team overall, though, and we couldn't even check it out after beating BYU. To win the Polar Bear Tip-Off Classic like that is actually incredible. Now, Southern Utah and East Tennessee State, I can't say those are great wins. BYU back then, what conference were they even in? I didn't think it was the Mountain West. I actually think they were a part of the WAC. I literally just did a video with these teams like a month ago, but they're not here either. Well, you can see about how hard my brain is currently functioning right now because I didn't pick up on Brigham Young as BYU for whatever reason, even though I know that's what it stands for. It took going back to see them after cycling through the entire nation twice, just trying to figure out what conference they were in. If we take a look at our roster makeup, no seniors, so that's why we don't have any scholarships available. I swore it said that we had 1 senior, though. Maybe he's considered a walk-on. And confidence is super high. We're saving up pep talks so players don't transfer, but game experience is not. Grand Arena also only seats 3,000 people, so as our attendance goes up, we're not going to get that much of a home court advantage. But with an 82 overall roster, the best one we've had so far, my expectations for this season and how we perform in sim are sky high. Now, I'm not expecting perfection or anything out of this team, but one of the losses we just picked up was to Radford, who didn't have a win so far this season. We lost to Green Bay, Eastern Kentucky. And if you just look at this snapshot of like the last month, it's been a disaster. That's another loss. My current theory on our midseason slump is someone like Hughes got injured and we just didn't have somebody good out there to replace him because we redshirted our other center, because we finished out the year so much stronger than how it was looking mid-year. But I have to say, Toledo was by far the best team in our conference, and we're sitting there at number 4, even though we have the best roster we've ever ever compiled. Our RPI is currently sitting at 140, and even though Doyle Hughes grew to 7'4" now, averaging 19 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, we only had a couple scores. Outside of that, everybody else was barely getting points. It's got me thinking we could have Conference Player of the Year, and we're not going to win our conference. I don't think we will. But Claus Powers set up to be the Freshman of the Year out of the MAC, and he has A- potential. So far, it's been hard for me to gauge how much potential matters, but Burt Cranford is up to an 80. I think he started the season as a 78, so he's going to continue to get better and better. And after the Bobcats beat Ball State 81-73 in the first round, our game is going to be against a program that literally went 7-21 during the regular season. If we don't at least make it to the semifinal, something is incredibly wrong with this roster. But I have a good feeling that we're still going to be able to do that, and we lost by 3 points? I know it's college basketball and upsets happen, like 12-seeded Gonzaga, they were able to move on this year. New Mexico State, that's not really a surprise as a 10 seed, but that was just not a result I was expecting. And I almost forgot, we have to see who was able to win the conference since we couldn't, and it was Toledo. We probably would have lost to them in the semifinal anyway. Then the national championship went to Michigan State. This is another one of our rivals that we're going to have later on down the line in our state once we get better. While Providence had a player that averaged 27.7 points per game. I didn't even know that was possible. We ended up not getting Conference Player of the Year though, probably because we lost to Ohio in the tournament. Western Michigan is still taking basically every single award home. It's actually so infuriating. But at least we made it to our next contract. It's been renewed for 4 years. I was worried at the beginning that we'd be fired, and now we know it would take a lot of messing up to be fired in the future. We still lose out on Alex Dillon, but he wasn't getting the playing time that he wanted. Eamon graduated without ever making a difference, and we're just going to keep on upping that charisma so we can recruit better players. We actually had a scholarship become available as well, so we're just going to see if there's any 4-stars that we can leech onto. This kid's literally from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Jackie Parker, commit to our school. Look at how much cheaper it is for visits at home as well whenever they are literally right next door. He could be 5 minutes down the road. And if we set up 5 visits for 1 week, at least one of them is going to be successful on one of these players, though a lot of them are going to sign with other schools. Turns out of our 5 targets, 2 of them are still going to be available, including Jackie Parker. They're not offering him a scholarship. I don't even know what MIST could stand for, but I want him bad, and after coming to our school on a visit, Jackie Parker has signed with Grand Rapids. It's a good thing as well because our other option at power forward decided to go to Wisconsin, but in my mind, Jackie Parker always wanted to come to our school. He was just waiting on a scholarship to become available so he could stay at home. And look at his priorities. They line up exactly. He wanted to feel wanted. He wanted to be close to home. Playing at a big program, okay, maybe that doesn't line up, but he won't be getting playing time anyway. Unless he comes in as a higher overall than Clifton Karras, I plan on redshirting him so he can stick around once Clifton graduates in the future. Another thing that probably hurt us last year was I didn't try and make our schedule a little bit easier. We're going to give ourselves some more home games than we probably should. But the idea behind that is we have 5 scholarships available after this year, and I want to be able to have players visit for games. The prospects that are going to be most interested are always going to be 3 stars. Burt Cranford is up to an 82 overall as a junior. He'll probably hit like an 85 overall as a senior. Goodrich is now an 81. Point guard wise, Clifton Karras is still going to be better than Jackie Parker. And if you look at some of their shooting stats, they are almost the exact same player, except Karras is slightly better. His handling and passing is up there a bit more. They're literally the same height. Karras also weighs a little bit more. It just makes sense to redshirt Parker. And the season is going to be our final one with Doyle Hughes, who is the lowest overall in our starting lineup, but still, he's been able to get up to 312 pounds. He didn't grow an inch for like the 3rd year in a row, but he was a very impactful player, and I've started to realize we need to prioritize a couple of these positions. Now, I might be a little bit delusional, but for whatever reason, I am only going after 4 stars right now, and after we've offered them all scholarships, I'm feeling like we got a pretty decent chance if these schools don't go as aggressively as we are. Granted, we've already visited some of their homes 3 times, which is the biggest boost we can get towards signing them, so that could be in play as well, where we just lose our lead. We're an 84 overall team, and opening up the year against Cleveland State, I'm expecting a win, which we get. As for our progress on some of these players, what you're going to see is we are in 1st place or 2nd place for 3 of them. The one guy that we didn't bring on a visit, Purdue can just take. I don't think we're going to be able to go after 4. We only have so many hours we can use in a week, and if we're already inviting a recruit to campus, this is one of our last big pitches. As time goes on, we'll know whether or not that worked. There's just no way that we beat Michigan, but we do. We beat Michigan by 3 points. And we lose to NGIT. What is the logic in this sim? Beating Michigan is a huge deal as well since we're Grand Rapids. Hughes went off for 26 points. I didn't think we would ever have them on our schedule or even be this competitive this early. And my hope is that is going to stand out to some of the prospects that we're targeting. We're about to find out if we have been able to sign any 4 stars and Leach signed with someone else. However, as you can see, William Glover, we are still in first place for. We're not going to be able to get him in the next week, unfortunately. Tim Frederick, a JUCO freshman center, just 6'9", but I would still like to sign him. We're the favorites over Stanford. And being able to bring him in would be such a big deal. We have continued to win. Tim Frederick signed with Grand Rapids. By the end of the year, though, I can pretty much guarantee William Glover is not going to come to Grand Rapids because we just had him on a visit, and that actually dropped his interest down while Arizona State goes up to number 1. Plus, he cares about playing in a big program. It's his number 1 priority. He's from California. He's not coming across the country to go to a small school in Michigan. That puts us in a little bit of a tricky spot with as many scholarships as we have available. We're still going to have 4 open once he decides to go to Arizona State. We pick up our second loss of the year against NC State. That does not surprise me at all. They already had double-digit wins this season. We beat Bowling Green by 33. And looking at our RPI, it's going to be 61 starting conference play, so it's not going to be anywhere near high enough to get in that large bid. Maybe if we beat NC State, it could be, because we have that win over Michigan. But then I noticed, looking at our conference standings, Western Michigan is undefeated, and they're 12-0. By the time that we make it to that game, I have no idea if they're still going to be ranked, but we have a decent chance at taking them down. Our only losses come to Toledo so far. They beat us by 6. However, it was an awful game for Cranford. He only scored 1 point. We also only got 16 out of Hughes. And at this point in the season, Western Michigan is no longer ranked. They have 3 conference losses. Toledo is still looking like the best team in the conference, where the Broncos' RPI is 65. Our RPI is actually up to 40, so it's going up during conference play, and Toledo's is 33. I can't remember if I mentioned it or not either. William Glover, we're making 0 progress on, so I did put some worldwide 3 stars on our board. We're going to bring in a guy from New Zealand, Jamaica, Germany, New Zealand twice. And how we finish out this season is a really big deal in these final 3 games, especially if we beat Toledo. That would be another quad 1 win. We did take down Toledo. Eastern Michigan, final game. We lost to our rivals. But another thing I have noticed is we've somehow been ranked inside the top 25 all the way up at number 13. We're getting so much respect across the country, and I don't see any other teams from our conference getting that same respect, but maybe it's because schools like Michigan are up here. I mean, our RPI has risen to number 23 in the country. We are a tournament lock whether we win our conference or not. But our points per game average is still very similar to what it was just a few years ago. It is our defense efficiency that continues to dominate. The MAC is also listed as the 10th best conference. I'm wondering if we could be a 2 or 3 bid league this season. I mean, Toledo should be in with their RPI wherever that's at. They're number 44 right now. Western Michigan, even though they've led the league in points per game, they're at 74, so they're definitely not unless they're able to win the conference tournament. Do we have no stat leaders? What an odd season. Cranford is considered the best pro prospect out of the conference though, which makes sense. He's an 84. And so far, whoever wins the regular season title is also who wins in the tournament. I'm actually feeling so great about this team right now. We're going to send Doyle Hughes out with a bang, hopefully. I would love to see us make a run to the Sweet 16. But for having A+ potential, I think Burt Cranford was actually a pretty big letdown, except for whatever reason, I thought he was a senior. He's only a junior, so he still has another year to prosper. I also hadn't even been using these pep talks. Decky Herber, still our 6th man. We need to make sure his confidence gets up before these big games. And after just edging out Ball State by 1, we're going to have to play a rival, Central Michigan, in the quarterfinal. This is where we went out last year. It can't happen again. In fact, I don't know how much margin we have, but I would hate for that to take away our at-large bid. They beat us by 2. What is even happening? Now we have to watch this show on the edge of our seat. I didn't even check our RPI. And I am so nervous right now. I don't know where we're going to pop up. I don't even know where our seed could potentially be. But keep in mind, we were ranked number 13 in the country. So they were always going to respect us, apparently. We got San Francisco in the first round. It could have been so much worse than that. I'm actually stunned that we got in as a 6th seed. Looks like for other teams from our conference that have made the tournament, Akron did because they won the conference. What about the other school, Toledo? They aren't ranked. Their loss to Kent State means they're not getting in, so it's a 2-bid league. Akron has to play North Carolina in the first round. And we are dealing with a couple of injuries. Starting point guard Clifton Karras is out for 8 days with a sprained wrist. He should be back by the time we play, with only a couple days left on that duration. I wouldn't be surprised if that contributed to our loss, though, and it's time to sim. I will tell you right now, if we lose this one like we lost in the quarterfinals, I'm going to be real disappointed. We're coming off of a sim loss. We haven't been able to trust it. Doyle Hughes has been injured, but we won by 2. That's literally worst case scenario, though. Alabama was able to beat San Diego State, 14-seeded San Diego State, by the way. But what this means is we're not going to have our best player, our senior center, to use him ever. It doesn't matter if we pull off an upset or 2. He's out the rest of the year. It's not like he can play on it either. I was so excited to use him before he graduated, but now he's just going to be gone, and his replacement, who will probably be our starting center next year at a 73 overall at 6'2", or 7'2", better come in. And if he was 6'2", we'd be having a real issue, but facing off against Alabama, a 3 seed, I don't feel amazing. I still can't believe how much respect we were getting from the polls, from the RPI ranking, even with our seeding after that loss to Central Michigan. And this was a real chance for us to double down on it, prove that we deserve to be here. At least this center can win tip-offs. Well, we're going to get it over to him, and we're just going to let him try and put it in. This is already looking 50 times better than our last tournament game. How is he coming up with that ball? Another block for our team. Well, they're going to take a deep 3. Wasn't expecting them to make that. And we're just going to try and dish this one over to Goodrich, but they were able to contest. We didn't have as quick of a trigger finger on him as I would have liked. You can't be missing that shot. Power gets the board. And Bama is going to put up a lot of 3s. We're going to continue to look for Cranford as well. I wonder what his shooting is like. We haven't gotten to use him in a couple of seasons. That's never going to be a good look. And our defense is going to give up an alley-oop. That's goaltending. Well, Cranford literally has a cheerleader inside of him on the court. I think she needs to get out of the way. And let's see. Can we take it to the hoop with Cranford? I mean, they're still contesting it well. Corner. Look. And we got to get that release down. What a board from Cranford. Maybe we draw a foul. His bald head is shining a little too much, but the shot is off. And this is not the start that we wanted. We knew Alabama was going to be a team that is challenging, but I really don't know what differently we could have done on a play like that. This point guard is dishing it all over the court. Good thing he cannot shoot. This kid can, though. We fell for the pump fake. I didn't even jump to it. The computer fell for it. He gets off a fadeaway, and it still falls. I think this might be a long game for us. The guy that's guarding Cranford looks solid. And are we literally just going to have one move where we spin and that's all we do on offense? So far, that's what it feels like. Cranford actually has a 3-point shot now, but we weren't able to have it fall, and they do. I'm telling you, Alabama is really good compared to what we have played before. That was slightly early. Free throws are not as easy with this center. I think that injury is going to be the reason we stand no chance. With 50 seconds left, what we're going to try and do is get off a quick shot, but we need a pick and roll fast, and it's there. Good dish and finish. They can still basically settle for the final shot, though, so I'm not sure that even worked. And I just don't understand where our defense has fallen apart from, because it used to be good. I mean, that was just a dumb turnover. And for whatever reason, that's the worst contest I've literally ever seen. 4 seconds left now. Maybe we can get off a shot. It is going to fall. But Alabama's playing so much better. They are 4 for 5 from 3-point range. Something needs to change this half if we're going to win. And I think I figured out the problem. For whatever reason, it was defaulting for us to be in a 2-3. We're still almost giving up a layup. But once we switch back to man-to-man, I think we're going to be better off, except we literally just threw it straight at him. And this point guard is so fast. That's a foul tip. Although this roster has gotten a lot better from what it used to be, a 3-point shot finally falls too. Anyway, it is still not on the level of some of these schools like Alabama, and they're missing their shots as well. Don't give me hope for a split second. I'm going to actually think that we could win this game. I need to get those buttons down just a little faster. And look at how close all these fans get to be over on this left sideline. I mean, Cranford literally just ran into them after that last missed shot. You can literally just fall into them. Oh my gosh, this guy's so hard to stop. He literally just turned the corner. We couldn't keep up. And we're falling down by 11 points with 4 minutes left. Well, if anything's been proven in this game, it's the fact that we got a long way to go. And I'm starting to see why we kept on switching into a 2-3 zone, since one-on-one, no one is stopping Conran. I'm surprised he didn't hit that. We might not be completely cooked, though. What we need is a double team right here, and then we dish it over and get off a shot quick. I could tell they were going to block it, so at least we got rid of it. Also, you can see on the left side, the ref beside him, we were just running into the fans on the sideline there, going down low, 2 spins in a row, and it's still not enough. I haven't even posted the first basketball video. That goes up the day after I'm filming this. So I already know the comments are going to be 1, half's too short, and 2, this guy is so bad at the game, I could do better. But you really couldn't, unless you play 2K a lot. I don't play 2K much. I still feel like, though, for it being on the second hardest difficulty, I do a solid job. What I could do is switch it to arcade, but I'm a little worried it's just going to look janky. I filmed a Madden video one time on arcade, and the comments were not a fan. I have to say, though, I was a fan. There were so many fun things that happened. Just go up with the shot before you get a 3-second call. And we might be able to force a miss here as well, or not. We've made absolutely zero progress in coming back through the second half so far. We might have a look there or not. And it is only getting worse from here. We'd actually get it with 9 with a minute left. But unless we're getting a steal or something, there's just no comeback that's going to happen. Hang on. Nope, no pressure at all. It's another 3. One of our biggest issues, though, was I just don't think this team was built for my playing style. We need better shooters on the court, and if we don't have better shooters on the court, we have to play a lot better defense like we did in previous years. I mean, Alabama was decent, but they couldn't even get past Michigan State, who ended up making a run all the way to the national championship. And I can't even be surprised that the Spartans were able to win it again. Well, we still won Conference Coach of the Year, even though we couldn't win our conference tournament. It's just unacceptable that we didn't. Honestly, the fact that this kid won Conference Player of the Year like the last 3 years of college, I am so glad that he is now graduating for Western Michigan. And we're going to lose a couple starters and depth pieces. Doyle Hughes is still going to be the biggest loss, obviously, but this is something that we can bounce back from. I think next year's team has the potential to be even better, to hopefully take us to our first Sweet 16. And our charisma isn't maxed yet, but it is 1 away. Well, William Glover signing with us as offseason recruiting opens up is a very pleasant surprise. I thought he was going to be a lock for Arizona State, and now we have to see what other 4-stars we can get before locking in some of these worldwide players. And ultimately, only one of them is signed with another school so far, that one being this 5'9" point guard. He was too short anyway. UNLV's offered a scholarship on Fisher, though, so he's going to go there. We can compete for that shooting guard. Florida might not want that one, though it looks like we're not getting as lucky as I thought we might. For a split second, before Louisville came into the picture, I had pulled all of our scholarships off of the worldwide players and put them on these 4-stars because it really felt like we were going to win them all, but now we have competition, and I don't know what to think. You basically just sit there and hope that they end up not going after some of those guys, like on Saman. And that's exactly how it worked out. We picked him up. We picked up Wilson Barlow. So we're going to have 4-stars in this class. Our final player has to be this point guard, unfortunately, just so we get one player at every position. With no high school stats to go off of and like no attribute information, it's hard to make that choice, but we want to make sure we got one guy at every single spot. And like I was saying, from a ratings perspective, this class is so much fun. It's impressive. It's the best one we've had, but then we got a center like Tim Frederick, who's only 6'9", which is why it's huge that his potential is A, because that completely makes up for it. Once again, it looks like Buffalo was able to get 1 4-star, and teams like Akron that made it to the tournament picked up 4 point guards in their class, 3 of them being JUCOs. At least they got 5 3-stars. It's hard to say they're recruiting too well. We have tied Georgia Tech for signing the most 4-stars in this class, and it's not like we're that prestigious. I was going to have St. Louis come to our court, but then it said we're not good enough to do that. Building up a program's just going to take us a while, but we're still getting better every season. I really thought Burt Cranford was going to eventually reach a higher overall. And Tim Frederick grew an inch. He's actually going to start for us because he's our 4th best player. Getting a JUCO 4-star was an insane move. For whatever reason, I really believe that we were just going to redshirt most of the guys that we signed, but they're actually getting on the court immediately. The only one that we're able to redshirt is going to be Saman, and our future is looking pretty bright. We might even try to go after our first 5-star, though it still looks like we're a little bit off from being able to pull it off successfully. But with 3 seniors, we have 3 scholarships available, so we can have backup options if needed, and this team is going to be an 87 overall. Everybody has good game experience outside of Frederick. As for what I have set up recruiting-wise, Clayton Samuel would be a 2-year rental, but he's a 5-star, so I think he'd come in as such a high overall anyway. Not entirely sure about that, though. We are in 2nd place behind Clemson. We've already gotten him on all 3 visits. Most likely not going to win that one, or even this small forward. I mean, we might not get any of these guys. At least we're the only school going after Sam Sufrant for now, a JUCO freshman at power forward, but even that could change. For our first game, we get to host New Mexico State. And I have a feeling I know how this is going to go. If it doesn't result in a win for us, if it results in injuries even, that is just so frustrating, but we dropped a 51-point win, which means we're just going to have to overlook that true freshman William Glover has already strained his Achilles and he could be out for a month. Unfortunately, Clemson has decided to offer a scholarship to the 5-star. He's from North Carolina, which is a lot closer to there than Grand Rapids, so we're not going to land him, but we are still in 1st place for the 4-stars. And here's the thing, I know we're going to lose the battle for Clayton Samuel, but we're not that far off for competing for 5-stars if we're getting this close to Clemson. What it's going to take is consistently winning more games, though. We know that they're going to have an opportunity to sign with us on this coming week. I don't think the JUCO is going to be ready for it yet, so we'll see what happens. We're still undefeated. Clayton Samuel signed with Clemson. And apparently, we still don't have enough for Nemir Kovacek to sign either. Texas Tech, he's from Lubbock, Texas. They've come out of nowhere. Little bit concerning, but we're going to scout his game. We can still give him phone calls, and I think that's going to be enough to push us over the edge. We also have to note that we are inside the top 25, so it wasn't just a fluke last season. We are currently number 21 in the country. But I thought we'd pick up our first loss to Duquesne. They were 6-1. Northeastern going to go go down. I don't think they're a very big school. And most importantly, we did get our first signing of this class. We're probably still going to get that power forward as well. We got to 96%, but it wasn't enough to finish the deal. And I think these next 3 games that we're going to be in, maybe 4 or 5 games, it looks like one of them is a tournament, is going to really determine what our season goes like, because Nebraska and NC State, both Power 4 opponents, they are going down. We don't care about watching college hoops tonight. We want to see how we do against Marquette, because we're 9-0. We're number 14 in the country. Marquette beats us. St. Mary's, Louisiana Tech, neither are a problem. You know, I don't think a loss to Marquette is honestly that bad, though. They were number 6 in the country. They just fell down to number 16 after losing a game themselves. So they're also pretty good. I did find another 5-star to target, by the way. I think we can beat out Youngstown State, but we won't know the answer to that for a while. We're coming up on games against our rivals in state. We beat Western Michigan, which is a big deal since they're typically really good. Eastern Michigan is also going to go down, so we are on a huge winning streak as we get to the end of January. But that's when it happened. Kent State was able to finally get us. They took us down by 10. And so even though we have risen all the way up to number 7 in the country, I have a feeling when next week's poll comes out, we're going to be falling down to like 17 or 20. I'm a little thrown off why our RPI is currently number 1 in the country. That just doesn't make much sense to me. But maybe RPI doesn't function like a KenPom ranking, and that's how I'm perceiving it. We're coming off of 2 losses, so I'm glad we bounced back against Miami, Ohio. We have a couple tough games to end this year. Western Michigan, can we beat our rivals twice? We cannot. You know what this means for us? It doesn't mean that we're falling out of the top 25. In fact, we're still sitting at number 17. But it does mean we came just 1 game away to almost losing the conference regular season title. Western Michigan is still very good, like Kent State is. And I thought their RPI was going to be a little bit higher since they're 22-6. It's 49 at the moment. Ours is 7. We're in the tournament whether we win the conference championship or not. But I think Western Michigan and Kent State are both on the bubble. If you look at the current bubble watch, I was at least able to find Kent State. I don't know about Western. But then I was able to find them as a 9 seed, so they're pretty comfortably in at the moment. We could have a 3-bid conference if Kent State were to win the conference championship. We're supposed to be a 5. We should be able to stay there as well since we're not dealing with any injuries. And throughout the year, Burt Cranford has been able to get up to an 86 overall. Goodrich right beside him as a senior as well. His 3-point shot's an 82. I thought it was going to be higher since he had the ability, but it is what it is. I really don't want to see Central Michigan in this round. We should still be able to get by them, hopefully get to this conference championship. And if we don't, the season's exactly like last year, where we're going to be a 6 seed. It is nice to know that this is a 2-bid conference. You think of what the MAC is in 2026, and you got Miami, Ohio that has to go undefeated, or else they might not be guaranteed a tournament spot. I think that's ridiculous. But at least we picked up our win. We're playing another rival from our state. And Eastern Michigan is 10-20. If we were to lose this game, it just wouldn't make any sense. As we look at the tournament tree, though, there were a couple teams to keep an eye on in this tournament. One of them was Kent State. The other one was Western Michigan. They played in the quarterfinal for the chance to beat us in the championship. It's Kent State that came out on top. And that's a big result for a team like Kent State because, like I said, the MAC could be a 3-bid conference. We're actually now sitting as a projected 4 seed, though. Western Michigan still as a 9. So this is an important game for us. Kent State's an 84 overall. I didn't know they could get that good in the MAC. We've already won one of these conference championships, though. It really doesn't make sense to hop in. I want to play some tournament games. Kent State beat us. I don't even care if that's good for the long-term growth of our conference. I was hoping to be a 4 seed, and there's no way we're going to be now. But as long as we sit at least the 5, it's still about the same spot we would have been in either way, and that's what we got against Holy Cross. LSU and Missouri State is the other game in our little region, and the MAC did put 3 teams into the tournament, which is just as many as the Big Ten. That's actually pretty wild. Western Michigan fell to the bubble, but they still got in. And I don't know if I should be rooting for the conference or not. Kent State lost to Gonzaga by 1 point. Western Michigan, they were a 10 seed, and they have moved on to play Providence. But that just means that they're going to recruit better and make it harder for us to win the conference. Holy Cross, they only have 6 losses. They might not be as easy as we're thinking. LSU's already won. And this is a brutal region. You got Alabama in here again. We got Wisconsin, Kentucky, Syracuse, plus 1 seeded North Carolina. But as a healthy team, as a 9 overall favorite, I'm expecting us to win. I'll tell you what, though, when we're filling out our bracket, we always look at the 5-12 game as a huge chance for an upset, and it came very close. So we're really just lucky to get to move on and face off against LSU. Before we play this one, I just had to make sure that our rotation was looking good, though if you look at our power forward, 6'6", Claus Power, our center, Tim Frederick, 6'10", we're not as big as we have been in the past. And although we could put Baker back out on the court. He already proved that he couldn't get it done last year. Right before we play this game, though, we're just going to look at these trophy cases right here, because if we win a national championship, that is where it's going to go in the future. I completely forgot to check this out earlier on, but I assume that we're going to add on another Coach of the Year award after this season, And then we should also be bringing some more stuff into this team trophies one, not just MAC championships. I'm pretty sure any conference player awards that you get also go into that trophy case. And we didn't do that well in conference play. I'm still shocked that we got seeded where we did. It makes me think if we could have a year like Miami, Ohio is having in real life, then we'd probably be regarded as like a 3 seed. And it looks like they're going to be running some zone coverage, which is really good news for us once I get some of these guys formed down. I don't know why I can't get football out of my brain. I've said zone coverage so many times while recording. I'm just leaving that one in. But yes, they are in a 2-3 zone. Spin, look cool, and then we threw it straight into their feet. LSU so far is scaring me because they keep getting us beat down low. And that's typically where we would be winning these games, but we're not. We're not at all. Thankfully, we grabbed that. Don't shoot that shot. How did that go in? Have I just been mistaken? Did I not realize he could pull threes this entire time? I mean, we are very clearly going to need it. LSU has already scored 9 points, but we got our first slam in somebody's face. And I'm shocked they didn't even show the instant replay of it. We also just got our first steal. We like never get those. Good pass, and it's a foul. Karras looks so short out there at 5'9", but at least he should hit free throws, except it's the first time playing with this team, so I don't know his release. We actually got our 7-2 center checking in. And that's actually some good news. We typically forget to make a lot of substitutions when I play this game. Rodriguez loses the ball for a second. What is even happening? Just go up strong with it. LSU's got us falling for pump fakes. We were able to not get called for a foul off of that. And we're going to look to work this one down low, but also get it out at the same time. Maybe we need to drive aggressively. Another kick. It just doesn't work. Truth is, you just can't pass through people. To nobody's surprise, they were able to score a bucket after that. I guess we're just going to let Crawford work it down low. They poke it out. Maybe Goodrich can get open for 3. There's not much time left on the shot clock, which means we're trying to get this up very fast, and it's not in. LSU also gets a good pass down there, and it's 2 more. I couldn't tell you why they're trying to trap us at the moment. Good spin. Good take. Maybe we can force a steal ourselves. We came super close to it. It's going to happen right there. Dish it down low. Put it up. That is 2 more. Every so often, our team just decides that they're going to press before a play, and it works out. But then that also happens, and we're going to tip it in ourselves. You know what? This has been an incredible half so far. Can't be falling for that pump fake and giving up such an easy lay. It's like the Alabama game where defense doesn't exist, but our offense has gotten a little bit better. We're coming very close to giving them an open 3-point shot, though. And we literally knew it was coming, but it is what it is. 21 points in the first half. I think we're about to force a steal here. There's no way that can be an accurate pass. He just threw it behind his back to get it back to him, and that's a solid dish. These are the types of players that we're going up against offensively, though. And they're about to get more. They're getting even more. We're going to try and advance this to half court, but instead we threw it out of bounds. So they're getting an opportunity to get off another shot before the end of the half as well. And thankfully, we got rid of it. We still gave up 25. That's not good. You could see a good defensive team give that up in a 20-minute half, but we gave it up in a 6-minute half, and they're getting more to start the second. Running into these SEC teams has been the hardest thing we've had to deal with. That's good rhythm, though. And what we're really just looking for is some defensive stops. Frederick fouled him somehow. And if they're not making jump shots, they're still getting to go to the line over and over. Look at that floor, by the way, that the cheerleaders are just laying out on. That is some dirty flooring that we're looking at. I don't know how that's what I'm noticing. But now they're chanting, "You're so selfish," after this kid missed a free throw. I don't necessarily know what about that made him selfish. All I know is LSU has ended every possession in this half at the free throw line. Sometimes I forget how to play, though. We got a foul off of that. And can we just watch this back for a second? Like, that was easy for him. Hang on, our power forward might actually be like that. And again, they keep making us go to zone. It worked right there. It worked right there. Parker running the court, dishes it straight to LSU. We're trying to trap, force a steal, but that didn't happen. And they're still going to get more looks, even when we do get a stop. We don't grab a rebound, and you wouldn't believe where they are. I think this is going to be another season for us that ends with an SEC school beating us. And at this rate, these refs just want to call everything. We're not even out of this one yet, but we're letting them penetrate the lane a little too easy. And then guess who's too short to get the rebound? You just can't make this up, though. It's another foul. We're going to be in the bonus strictly off of those fouls. It is what it is, though. If the refs are blowing, maybe we go to the rim very aggressively. We get the board with power. It falls. And why? Why are we in a 2-3 zone again? Why? Our default option is literally man-to-man, and it just doesn't seem to care. That's a great stroke. But do we have what it takes to hold the Tigers? That's what we're about to find out. He shot that? Like, that wasn't even a good look. It was contested. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on, hang on. We're going to keep letting Powers just throw it in people's faces. This game is just out of its mind. And good passes down the court, running it fast. We got a block without a foul. It's a miracle. All right, we've moved this around. We called for a pick and roll, except there was no roll. Still dumped it down low. It worked out. And here we go. We're going to try and force a trap super early on down the court. Didn't necessarily go our way, but we almost had the deflection there. Feed it. What a block. This game is not done. And it's all because of Powers. Except we just threw it straight back to them trying to pass that. See, now we're starting to panic. Now we're starting to panic. We got a jump ball. I mean, this has been by far the best game that we've played so far. We got them falling for the pump fakes all around the court. I did not mean to shoot that. He must have an insane short jumper because that should not have gone in the first place. I don't think this kid can shoot. There's no way. He didn't have the form for it. He didn't. I think this needs to be a 2-for-1 opportunity. We don't necessarily need a three-pointer, but we need to get to the hoop fast, and that move was filthy. Dish it out for three. Shoot the three. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Pick up your own miss. Go. Go. It's in. Well, now we're going to have to force a trap. We got a steal. Why is our 5'9" kid the one putting this up? We had a center with the ball in his hands. We're up by 2, or we're up by 1. I can't do any math. They had to call a timeout. I don't even know what's going on anymore. There's 13 seconds left. They go down low. And we got a steal. We got a steal. We have to decide who we want to get to the line to shoot these free throws, though. It's going to be 1. And here we go. The band, by the way, is not that large. There's like 20 students in the band. First free throw is off. It's off. Okay. 4 seconds. 4 seconds. Lock down, boys. Don't give up a jumper. There's just no way. That's how we lose this game. I can't do anything with 0.1 seconds. We're out. We're out in the round of 32. I'm so done with this game. I am so done with this game. Vanderbilt was able to beat 1-seeded North Carolina. They actually got all the way to the Elite Eight before falling to Wisconsin by 4. We had a decent path to make a deep tournament run. Villanova ended up winning it all, but that's going to be it for some of our seniors. We're saying goodbye to Goodrich. We're saying goodbye to Cranford, who has actually entered the NBA draft, which is what you get with A-plus potential, I guess. He only averaged 11.8 points per game his senior year, but that was better than his first 3. And this season was literally identical to the year that we had before, except 1 extra win. I guess we got a conference championship too. We're going to start getting our teaching up now that we got our charisma up to an A+. Though I also remember if we could increase like our defense, that helps so much. I guess our coordinators could also supplement for that, which means Markham, even though he has that A charisma, we're going to have to get rid of him and look for anybody else that has A charisma, but some better offensive and defensive coaching stats. And that's what we were able to find with Beck. He also has A ambition. Whenever you're reading up on a coach and it says pulling top prospects is not out of the question when this guy recruits, that's what makes you feel good. He is only 36, but he has a full head of gray hair. And it's really going to take time for us to just keep on improving. We got Sam to sign with us. We always knew that he would. But who I was wondering about was this 5-star JUCO shooting guard. We are at 95%. Youngstown State still hasn't offered him a scholarship. This could be our opportunity to take over. That is our final scholarship that's out right now. And we're going to have to learn to say the longest last name I've seen in a while, because we have signed our first 5-star. He will come in as a junior, so we only get 2 years out of him, but he should be a pretty high overall. To be fair, recruiting JUCOs back then is basically like us being able to recruit players out of the transfer portal now. If you look at the schedule they generated for us, they gave us 3 games in a row in November, one of them against Oregon. I think this is going to go pretty bad, but we'll see how it pans out for us. 2 of our 3 seniors that we have are starting for us. Clifton Karras at point guard, Claus Power at power forward, who was awesome. And then we got some newer faces at shooting guard and small forward, William Glover and Wilson Barlow, both sophomores. They were off the bench last year, but now they're getting their opportunity to be on the court. The 5-star is going to come in with A- potential, by the way, 75 3-pointer. It almost makes me want to redshirt him, but we don't have a good backup shooting guard. Yes, we do actually. Dennis Collin is a senior. So you know what? Let's keep these guys around for as long as we can. If we just make that the standard here, it's probably going to serve us best long term, but to make sure we only have 76 overalls on the court, we're just going to go down to bench depth of only 8, regenerate this rotation, and start searching for guys to offer scholarships to. We actually have 4 scholarships. I don't know where the extra one came from, but we're going to use it. We are going to find someone. I will say, from a glance after a couple weeks, our target board does look kind of weird because you got 5-star stars, and then it immediately falls to 3 stars. But these centers are both 6'10", so they could probably grow to like 7 feet tall. They're the number 16 center and number 13 center in the country. Right now, we're more prioritizing carry, and I might even get him on a visit to campus this week, but I'm also still trying to bring in these 2 guards, one of them being a JUCO point guard who would only be with us for a couple seasons. Now, I was able to invite all 3 of them to campus the exact same week, so that's what I did. I think our overall is a little down from last season. We lost to Oregon. We have already picked up 1 loss this year. William Glover has been injured, so that's more bad news. But I think the most disappointing part about this loss to Oregon was we didn't just lose, we got beat by double the score. To be honest, there's no way around it. It is just flat out embarrassing. The 2 5-stars are both from Chicago, by the way. If you look at how we're sitting, as they all have an opportunity to sign with us in a week, we're actually in first place. I don't know if we'll be able to maintain, but we have literally done every type of visit that is possible for them. BYU, we're going to take down, so we're 6-1. Our only loss comes to Oregon. We got Illinois coming up, though. And we're going to get Cruz to sign with us. That is 1 5-star commit. AC Carey also does. However, we're at 99% on John Paul Collision, and DePaul has actually jumped us, which means he's going to make a decision somewhere else. We can scout his game one more time. I'd love to get him. Even with only a B 3-point grade, he is A- potential. But sometimes that's just how it goes. Illinois is ranked number 21 in the country. They're a 90 overall. And I would love to see us come out on top. We get to host them on our home court. That's what we're looking at right there. But we did beat them by 7. I really wasn't expecting that. One last chance to maybe get the 5-star to sign. Looks like he did sign with us. And listen, there might have been a little bit of extra help to get him over that step. I found something out like a couple years back. It didn't work during the last rebuild, but it did here. It turns out if you don't have a single shooting guard listed on your roster for a little bit, then he thinks he can get unlimited playing time here. But unfortunately for him, now that he's locked in and stuck at our school, some of those guys are back to shooting guard. In my mind, we just had a little extra NIL cash to seal the deal. We did just go from being ranked 20th to not ranked again, so we're not getting as much respect as we did with teams before. Kent State, best team in our conference, takes us down. So that's also going to take a hit to our ranking. They're actually 8-4, but they won the conference championship last year. And I don't understand how we're not winning all these games now, that we're signing 4-stars, that we're signing 5-stars so consistently. It does seem to make a little bit more sense, though, when I see that Claus Power, our best player this year, strained his Achilles. He's out for 20 days, and Tim Frederick is also injured. So this is where all those red shirts might be coming back to bite us. But ever since that moment, even without them healthy, we've consistently been winning games. Eastern Michigan then beats us. As I'm saying, we're just winning everything. And I'm just not sure if we're going to be regarded the same way that we have been the past couple years. Looks like we're going to finish the season really strong. It's going to be enough to move us up to number 20 in the polls, which is still the highest for teams of our caliber anyway. I don't see any of those other programs ranked. UNLV's actually up there at number 8, never mind. But we didn't even win our conference. We're tied with Eastern Michigan for first place. Western Michigan and Kent State actually took a major step back. We're still ranked as the 10th best conference in the country. And I'm not surprised Buffalo found some success since they've been bringing in some 4-stars. Their RPI is 71, though. Eastern Michigan's is 72, while ours is 23. So we're in no matter what. The rest of these teams are not. Buffalo is leading our conference in every single stat category. How are we this bad on offense? If you look at the best overall player, best freshman, best shooter, best playmaker, best pro prospect, all of those belong to our team. I think we need to switch up our playbooks. And over the past 4 seasons, there was that one year where we slipped up and Toledo did win the conference. Plus, we haven't won the conference championship in a few years, but we still run the MAC, and we got Bowling Green, then Western Michigan. I think we're just going to sim the whole thing without even going game by game, because as we've learned, it really doesn't matter how this pans out. Looks like we are going to lose Jackie Parker for 45 days. Western Michigan beats us, so we're not even in the conference championship. And this means they are still getting a tournament bid, even though they didn't have that great of a season. I really don't know what to think of this team. We have 5 players all averaging double-digit points. It's a very even spread across our entire roster. Plus, the only injury we're dealing with is Jackie Parker, the one that just happened. But I still just have like no faith in this team to get farther than like the first round. And we'll see where they end up placing us after a semifinal loss. I'm thinking that we're going to end up getting a 6 seed, but we got a 5 seed against Delaware State. UNLV's on our side of the bracket. And this changes everything. Assuming we take care of business here, we have a great shot at the Sweet 16. We keep finding ourselves in these positions, though, against 12 seeds where you never know what is going to happen. Beat them by 14. And this is where I have to wonder, if we keep on slipping up every time we hop win in the round of 32, do we just simulate this game and see how we do? Florida is most likely going to beat us in the next round anyway, if they are to take down Ole Miss. And if we were to get past UNLV, who's a 92 overall, I just don't think our roster's that good. I know we still have work to do. We have to wait on our guys to develop. I just can't imagine this going well, but we did edge them out by 2. So just like that, Grand Rapids advances to their first Sweet 16. But again, Florida is really good. Could we go on a run? Potentially. But if I can't beat like 93 overall teams, I'm not taking down a 97 with a worse team than last year's. So this is our best chance. Are we going to get lucky? Are we going to be on an upset underdog run with Grand Rapids? We lost by 13. I really am okay with that, though, because that just means we can get right into the next year. Mississippi State actually beat Florida, and then they beat Kentucky to get to the championship. So maybe Florida wasn't that good. Maybe I messed up. Texas ended up winning it all. Those are the overalls on rosters that have been consistently getting this far. So that's why I feel like we still have work to do, even though for the past couple years, we have put at least one player into the NBA draft. Claus Power is another guy, though, that I would have loved to see a bigger offensive explosion out of. And even though we just went farther than we've ever gone before, this season still just feels so similar to the last couple where we're not making that much progress anymore. I'm telling you, we need to make sure our coordinators are on top of it offensive and defensively. We need our teaching to be better so they keep on progressing. And this isn't something I'm really looking forward to doing, but we are going to get rid of Phillips. His charisma is already not that good. His scouting's already not that good. We want somebody that has A, defensive coaching. It feels like the right move. So we've picked up the 39-year-old, and his wealth of defensive knowledge is a huge boost to player development and play. I didn't realize this also boosted development. This entire time I've been upgrading teaching, I should just be upgrading offense and defense. The only good transfer went to Oregon. And like I always say, we are never getting one of those. We have to figure out who is going to be the final player that we add to this class. To my surprise, of all the 4 and 5 stars out there, these are the only 4 that haven't committed to a school. Some of them have no offers. Some of them have slight interest, but no scholarship offers, like the other guys. So we knew it would take a week to see who would actually be available. Denver Rivers committed to Stanford, while Greg Newsome, the player I offered a scholarship, also got one from Florida. And by now I've been able to find out that the 6'8" small forward has a better three-point shot. We don't know anything about his potential, but I actually want Austin more. However, it took 1 week to potentially change my mind because, as you can see, Greg Newsome all of a sudden has a potential. So I never took my scholarship off of him, and it turns out that was the right move. B- on Austin. Looks like we're the only team still interested in him. Florida could take away Newsome still. What I believe is happening, though, is they don't have the scholarships to sign him, which is why we're going to get him instead. And I know that we got to have success sometime in the near future because we are literally signing classes like we are a big program. In fact, I think we just signed the number 3 class in the country. It's so hard to tell because it shouldn't be ranked above Connecticut's. This is how they order all of it. There's not really any ranking. And I'm pretty sure Irakli Cruz is the 5-star that we just signed in this last year. He's an 83 overall. He's the best overall that we have on this team, so I guess he's going to start for us. I was planning on redshirting him. Kind of feels bad for Jackie Parker. He's just going to be a career backup. If there's any other players that we can redshirt, they're going to have to be lower overalls like some of these freshmen. But truthfully, the biggest thing holding us back is we just haven't developed players that quick, so we haven't been as dominant as we should be for our class. It really feels like it's going to be hard to get to that next level. With 2 scholarships, there were a couple centers. They are JUCOs that were interested. One of them wants Arkansas a lot more, though, so we can immediately just take him off our board. And what that leaves us with is a 5-star point guard from Mexico. Only us and Miami are going after him. And then there's also this power forward. He's another 5-star that we have a chance with. It's actually really challenging to decide which one that we want. Going into this season, 89 overall. This has been the same overall for the past few years. And we did lock in on the center plus the 5-star point guard, where we have some really nice leads. Miami could still come out of nowhere and take this away, but we only have 2 point guards, both of them juniors, on this roster. Connecticut and Providence are going to win this one. And I do think it's time to try something a little bit different on offense. See if this allows some of our better players like our guards to score. So far, so good. We're about to get to the point where we have to play Providence. We ended up beating them, but I'm more concerned with the players that actually sign with us during this period, and it looks like Clementine will, but also Mikkel, and he's the center. That is a hard position to fill. Just like that, our 2 scholarships are gone. We are consistently bringing in 5 stars if we really want them. And I'm a little surprised that we're ranked below 3-3 USC, but we haven't had that tough of a schedule. We've beat Tennessee and Providence. Neither one of those teams, by the way, are ranked. UNLV is actually 8-0, so that was a good tournament win. And as we approach MAC conference play, I don't think we're going to lose a single game out out of conference, we should never lose to IPFU. So just like that, 12-0, we're ready for Buffalo and all of these teams. There are still plenty of other undefeated teams across the country, though. Mississippi State is going to be one to be worried about. We saw what they did in the tournament last year. And outside of Western Michigan, who's currently 7-3, I'm not sure how well everybody else is going to do in our conference. It turns out not very well. We have won every conference game outside of 2 of them. We finished the year with a win against Ohio, but we did have 1 week where we lost to Akron, and we also lost to Eastern Michigan by 1. But there's always a random loss throughout the season that just makes no sense. It feels like 88-54. Let's just be real. At least Akron was the 3rd best team in this conference record-wise, but they went 17-13. We should not be getting blown out by them. And with Western Michigan being the 2nd best conference and an RPI of 102, the MAC has kind of fallen off. We went from being the 10th highest ranked conference to the 12th. If we can't win the conference championship during the tournament this year, I mean, that's just a big problem. We actually led the league in points per game. And this is really just sickening to see that the last 4 conference tournaments haven't gone to us. It feels like changing up our playbook, though, has actually given us a couple of really good offensive players. Tim Frederick with 19.1 points per game, 7.5 rebounds. William Glover is going to be injured. But on the bright side, it's only a pulled hamstring, so he'll be back by the time the tournament starts. Apparently, he's going to play on it as well. I just hope that it doesn't make it worse. And we're still not going to be as good as UNLV, though the Mountain West has always been a pretty decent basketball conference. Rhode Island is also right behind us at number 11 in the country. And our RPI is 9, so we are still fighting for a potential 2 seed. At this point in the year, we're a 91 overall, and we know what it's going to take to get that 2 seed. It's going to be winning 3 straight games, something we haven't done recently. And did we lose again? No, we actually got all 3. I'm not going to lie, if we would have failed to win the MAC for like the 5th season in a row, that would have been a huge problem. Toledo kept it very close, within 1. And on the other side of the bracket, Western Michigan just really hurt themselves by letting Ball State make that type of run against us. They could have at least had a chance to take us down, but what is up with all these day-to-day injuries? This is not what we want to see. I really don't know how they're going to perceive us. I haven't looked into any of the bracketology. All I know is we're currently ranked 8th in the country, and I'm actually going to be pretty upset if I see us pop up as a 3 seed, because I would love to get a 2. Rhode Island did. Well, if you look at that, I'm feeling pretty confident. I think we played Tennessee this year. It might have been last year, but we've beat them recently. Though they might not even get past New Mexico State, it's nice having a game that I know we're going to win. I know we see some 15 seeds pull it off in real life, but our roster is so much better than theirs. And by the way, it was Tennessee we beat very early on in the season, alongside Delaware, who's a 14 seed, Richmond, who's a 7 seed. We took them down by 13. The reason that's so important is because they just beat New Mexico State as a 10 seed, so they're standing between us and the Sweet 16, who would be against either 11-seeded Kansas, I don't want to play them, or 3-seeded Ohio State. Either way, their roster is probably loaded. We have the overall advantage here. This team really doesn't have any star players, though. It just has depth, which we haven't in the past. We survived by 3. And would you look at that? We did get Ohio State. It looks like if we were to somehow get past them, we'd be playing either Florida or Pittsburgh. We can't seem to avoid the Gators. While the other side of the bracket has actually had a little bit of madness. USC has made it as a 7 seed to the Elite 8, while UNLV and Mississippi State have got there out of the other region. Health-wise, it looks like Urkela Cruz, the 5-star JUCO point guard we got last year, who's a junior, broke his nose, but he can play on that. And I'm very interested to see if they have the detail to actually put something on his nose in the game. I think if they did, that would be really neat. But before we can check that out, we have to win this opening tip-off. Well, from this perspective, I'm not seeing anything on the nose, but it's time to get Grand Rapids a win. We're going to take an aggressive drive, missed the jumper, but Frederick has the board, and he also misses. Not exactly what I was hoping for on that last possession, but we're still going to work it around, or let them steal it, and get out in the fast break. Can Cruz catch him? Why did we jump? What I do know about this team is a couple guys can really shoot threes on it, so we had to get Glover a shot like that. And the soft touch to put it in has me feeling great. Looks like they're going to get another 2. I actually can't remember the last time that we won a game I've hopped into, so it's going to be very interesting to see if we can actually pull that off in this one. Good shot. And a foul? No, it was basket interference. He just had to get his hand on the ball. He didn't have enough confidence that he was actually going to make it. They're not hitting their shots at all, though. And the pace of this game compared to some of our last tournament ones is just shockingly different. Why are we shooting contested jumpers? However, forced to steal on the other end, spun, thought we'd draw a foul, and I might put in another guard even after that play, mainly because he can't shoot 3-pointers all that well, and I'm hoping to space the court out and hit a lot of 3-pointers. He's missed a couple shots already. While Texas pulls up, we contested it. We still don't get the board, though, And just like that, scoring's not a problem. Did I just say Texas, though? We're playing against Ohio State. I am so thrown off because these tournament games used to be on the courts with no March Madness anywhere. And if you were wondering, the substitution I wanted out there was Wilson Barlow, a 6'4" shooting guard. It's not like it's a drastic change. His three-point shot's 4 higher than our starter. But that could end up making an impact, and Ohio State is just running away with it. I'd rather force him to the line and make him make his shots. But then they grabbed the rebound off of it and got an extra point. Let's just say I'm not very happy with this team right now. We passed up on 2 to miss a 3. And I'm actually so cursed. I should never hop into games. It doesn't seem to go that well for us. I think one of the biggest issues is I like to go low and use a big man. But on this team, we're a much smaller one, and they're taking advantage of it. We should at least be able to run the court then, but we haven't done that so far. I mean, they're cutting off Barlow. Gonna dish this one out. Saman, can he hit? No. So it is a 9-point first half while they put up over 20. And we're gonna try and get off a shot here at the very end, but it's with our center. This is ugly. They're shooting almost twice as well from the field as we are. And our defense just doesn't exist the same way it did the first couple seasons. This is the hard part about March Madness, though. Teams get hot. We're coming off of that pick to miss the 3. And teams also get cold. We're one of those teams. I mean, we're trying to move it down the court fast. Got him falling for it. We're not hitting that, of course. But we did poke it loose. Can we at least just get a little momentum? Okay, we're pressing. We're able to force another steal. Go ahead. Pull up or dump it off. One of the two. You got to be decisive. And now we're just throwing it around. Looks like we're going to get a situation where we get a dish out. And it's short. But what did I tell you? That's not our shooting guard that can actually shoot threes. And he just missed a layup. I don't know if I've seen the computer sell like that while playing. I think we held on a little long. Maybe not, though. Momentum's back on our side. We're going to try and force some traps, force mistakes. They give them a foul. It feels like it is way too late to do anything. Coming down 12 points in 4 minutes is a tough task. Pick and roll, working out well. And here we go. I want to see them into a mistake. Looks like he doesn't know where to go. I thought we were going to get a hand on that. We can't even get that board. And we found the size mismatch we were hoping for, but we just don't have the center for it. I'm telling you, our best center was the kid that we had in our first few years. All these short kids have been absolutely horrendous on the defensive side. They're beating our press and traps so well, too. We couldn't get to that ball. Like 2 pump fakes, falling for literally everything. And we might literally be best off if I never play, because that isn't going to be a good look, but we just need something. I sure hope Ohio State goes on to win it all, because at least then they would have just been that good. We got exposed so hard. I mean, they're throwing up oops. Why can't they just take it to the end? It's going to be 44-23. I mean, this is just ridiculous. What are we doing? No sportsmanship at all. Absolutely disgusting from them. And I don't want a backcourt violation. Just end the game. I've seen it all. I think we have seen it all in this video. Just another rough ending to the season. Pittsburgh would end up losing to Ohio State, so they made it to the Final Four, but they couldn't beat Maryland. UNLV might win it all. Well, they actually did. And the most annoying part to me is this is a year where we could have actually been in the conversation to take a title home. For the first time we actually ran the MAC conference, at least we're going to be returning most of these guys. Frederick is an 85 overall center, though. Losing him is such a big loss. He was MAC conference player of the year. Whenever you can find a center that's as good as him, those are your chances to actually win it all. But you know what? We got Cruz for another season. We got Glover for another season. And we also have that 4-star center that is coming in. We haven't seen guys transferring out either. I thought Tim Frederick might actually get drafted to the NBA. His potential was a B+, and he just got so much better in his senior year. If we're following the pattern that we've been on, it took us a couple years to get past the second round. Then it took a couple years to get past the Sweet 16 potentially. Maybe we're in the Elite 8 next year. That's at least my hope. We're going to start upgrading our defense. I don't care about teaching anymore. We're clearly just not able to hold teams on defense, so we're getting rid of our assistant coach. This is a hard move for me to make, but I found another assistant that also has an A in defense. His charisma is just a B, but I think that trade-off is going to be worth it. This is the schedule they're generating for us. It doesn't look that challenging. And there were only 2 prospects that we were able to bring into this team. Center Mikel Masogo, he was a JUCO, and then the other guy was this freshman, a 76 overall point guard. Remember, he's the one from Mexico Mexico. Luis has an 82 three-pointer. I am so excited for him to develop. And we're actually going to start this season as the preseason number 18 team in the country. We are getting more respect every single year. Whenever you have 5 seniors, though, you come with a lot of experience. And I think that is something that's factoring in. We got guys with a good amount of game experience, but our team unity isn't as high as I'd like it to be. With 5 scholarships to spend, we're going to have a hard time replacing all these players. And remember, I'm the only one with charisma now, so I'm the only coach that can really recruit. And on the recruiting side of things, after a couple of weeks, we have 4 5-stars and 1 4-star. Apparently, we have the best chance at the 5-stars. The 4-star power forward just wants to go to Louisville, but for all these other battles, we are still in them, so I have to choose who I want. And I actually think we're just going to go after 3 guards, but move one of them to small forward. Before we can figure out who we're going to actually get, though, we have to start simming some games. And so far, so good. Beating Chicago State isn't anything too impressive, though. In the tournament that we're in, we are going to beat Northwestern. I think we beat UMass, and that's enough to move us up to number 9 in the polls. However, when it comes to shooting guards, we're targeting 2 of them, and I don't think they like that we have scholarships on both of them, so it's not as easy to close out those battles, especially when USC wants this kid from California. So there's no telling if any of them are even going to commit once they have the opportunity to. Appalachian State, we just more than doubled the score against them, and we have news. We got one of them. However, I don't think that's great news because it's the JUCO point guard. He's probably going to be redshirted whenever we can. Florida State has also entered the battle for Ken Gruber, so we need to close him out immediately, which is exactly what we did at the last second. Once recruiting opens back up, if Stivers doesn't sign with us, then we're still going to have 3 scholarships available. It looks like USC pulled out of this battle, though. And I hadn't even looked at our rotation, I don't think, for this season until I saw that somebody was unhappy. We have to make sure he doesn't transfer. Everybody on the court is a 79 overall or better. If there's one team that's going to beat us as we head into conference play, though, it would be Boston College. They were top 25, and it's unfortunate, but I think that could be our only loss this year. It was on the road, it was by 2 points, and again, if they're having a good season, that just helps us out. It's seen as a quality loss, and we fell down from number 3 in the country to number 7. That's not a very far drop. Of course, we're now going to be the biggest Boston College fans as we sim through the second half of the year. And on the injury front, so far so good. Our team is entirely healthy. Looking at our schedule so far, all I see is a bunch of W's. But because our conference has kind of fallen off, even though Boston College is up to number 7, we are now down at number 15, so we're not being that respected like we used to. I don't think that's very fair to us because this is the best team that we have ever put on the court. We're going to finish this season with 1 loss if we beat Kent State, which we do. And it seems like we're in a similar spot to last year, where as long as we win our conference tournament, we should be looking at a 2 seed. Look at the rest of the MAC, though. Everybody is finally just as bad as each other. Buffalo's no longer good. Western Michigan, Kent State, they are all struggling. I mean, we're seeing 15 and 13 on a Western Michigan. And our conference rank has fallen to number 15, so that would explain why our ranking is no longer as good. In fact, our RPI is actually 23. I think there's no way that we're looking at a 2 seed, but we're scoring more points than ever before. 83 points per game. We were used to like 70. Our offensive and defensive efficiencies are off the chart. These are the highest overalls that we have ever been able to have in a starting lineup. I wish our big men were a little bit better. We also have 1 major injury, but it's just a pulled groin, and the sophomore small forward's not even a starter. I remember stealing him from Texas Tech because he's from Lubbock. Looks like we are going to just cruise through those 3 games, which is not a surprise to me. I mean, that's what we did during conference play. Nobody was able to even give us a close matchup. Not even a little scare. We did move up to number 6 in the country. Obviously, we're not a 1 seed. Ohio State is. But I still expect us to come in as a 3 seed. And I would have been so upset if we had to have Kentucky in our region. So far, not really disliking this one, but it goes to Texas Tech, which means Ohio State is guaranteed to be in our region. We don't know what seed we're going to be yet, but it's not going to be 4, so it's either 3 or 2. 3 goes to Kansas. That's actually going to be a huge pain. And sure enough, I think we got the worst draw. I really missed the days when we saw the MAC conference up here with 3 teams getting in as well. But by now, we know that we can sim through the first couple rounds, and we should win. If we don't, well, that is a major issue. I'm thinking that I'm a sim against whoever makes it to the Sweet 16 as well. And I said that before I knew that 14-seeded Liberty beat Kansas, 11-seeded Washington beat UConn. This is the perfect pathway. Stanford took down Nebraska, but I think those teams were pretty comparable. And I swear, the sim just needs to bless us the way it should. We are the better team. It really isn't by that much, though. We just had the better regular season, so I expect either way that we're gonna crush them. And can we just talk about how lucky we've gotten? Liberty is a 14 seed, beat Kansas, and they beat Washington by 3 and then 2 points, so we get to face a 14 seed to get to the Elite Eight against either Ohio State again or Alabama. I'll tell you right now, I do not want to see Ohio State. Both of those teams, though, Alabama too, has beat us in a tournament in this video. And the fact that Liberty's been able to pull off 2 upsets should scare me a little bit, but they're a 14 seed, and eventually they had to come back down to earth. We can't just get lucky draws forever, though, so Alabama has lost to Ohio State. We have to play the 1 seed. If we were to get past them, Louisville and Miami, Florida, they're the other teams in the Elite Eight. Looks like we got UCLA, Oregon on this side of the bracket, Syracuse, Texas Tech, and we're going to use some of these pep talks to make sure everybody on this roster is as confident as they can be, especially our starters. We're actually dealing with no injuries at the moment, and I think we could have the best 6th man in this entire tournament, an 87 overall shooting guard. The reason I don't want him to be our main shooting guard is he is just 83 pointer. I still want to put my faith in Wilson Barlow, who is 95 speed, and this is an opportunity to get some revenge on the Buckeyes. I'm about to be so locked in. We can't let Ohio State beat us 2 seasons in a row. I even had to sit down for this. I've been standing for too long. My legs were starting to feel like jello. I don't like seeing they got Welch on this team still. He was the guard last year that was really good. One thing Ohio State was amazing at was shooting. And we all saw that our defense literally just didn't show up to that game. We got an opportunity here to get an open 3-point shot, though. We put Barlow in for these moments, grabbing that board. Maybe that's the way we have to score. It really doesn't seem like this team is built for that type of offense, though. How is Wirtz getting this ball? I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. He is like the greatest point guard I've played on this game, and we almost had that steal. But anyway, it's so early. We don't really know how this one's going to go. Tried to get double contest on it, and he just doesn't care. He doesn't care, but you can't, or you can give us open threes. We're not shooting that well so far, and I don't know what my run has been in games where I've hopped into that I've lost. But it feels like it's been a while since we have been able to win one. And the fact they didn't hit that is awesome. For Ohio State, I literally thought that was a guarantee. Saman is going to get blocked, though. I don't even know if he can shoot threes. And look who's driving in. Oh, he got a foul. There was nothing exciting about those free throws. He was never going to miss any of them. I like that, though. But what I don't like is Ohio State can't be stopped offensively. We're halfway into this half, and they have already been able to put up 13 points. We aren't shooting well, and we could actually be in front if we were just hitting shots like they are. Instead, though, we're just throwing it to the other team. I do think I've gotten a little impatient on defense. These double teams clearly aren't working that well, so we probably need to stop them. I mean, they're getting open looks. They're getting boards against us. Even when we block it, they somehow were locating the ball. I cannot believe they didn't get anything out of that. But we're trying to drive. 87 overall 6th man. Can't do it. We really need more size on this team and more athleticism. That is what we're missing. Good board from Saman, though. And I don't know what those yellow things are next to Wirtz's name, but, oh, those are the bars. He could hit a shot from about mid-court. They were fully maxed out at mid-court. How does that make any sense? I'm actually stunned that he didn't put that one in as well. Solid drive there. And at least we've been able to slow down the Buckeyes offense here near the end of the half. He literally might have like 15 of their 18 points. Why are you throwing it to the farthest player away? I just don't get it. I don't get it. We force a jump ball, and I want a 2-for-1 before the end of this half. So we're trying to get it quick bucket. It's going to have to come off of a foul potentially here. You know what? That works for me. We just got sauced up by that kid, though. And there we go. We're going to look underneath. Carey is actually the best center we've gotten a feel for so far. I don't care what his overall is. He might be playing more in this second half. With about 10 seconds left in this half, he has given up an easy leg. So that's probably why he's not out there on the court. He can't hit a jump shot. At least we still have this within 4. We are shooting better from them, but we can't hit threes. To open up this second half, my goal is to hit one of them. Come on. It's so open. I just don't understand. We're playing well everywhere else. We're forcing steals. We got the spin there. That is not going to be a foul. And this could be such a different game if we literally hit our shots. Every team ends up getting cold, but do you get cold for the entire game? You sure shouldn't. And Ohio State just won't miss. We're going to try and run the court really fast on them here to respond back, but they got their guys back even faster, so that wasn't really an option. Going to dish this one for a potential 3. It looked like it could have been a good idea. Open jump shot. Finally. You know what? He's a shooter. Maybe we just needed to get him in a little bit of a rhythm. We forced the steal. Seaman running the court with the chance to tie it up or get it within 2. Not tie it. I sure wish we were tying it. Our press, though, is working. He just threw it at a janitor. I can't tell if they're going to be in zone or man, though. For a second, it looked like it was going to be zone. I did not mean to shoot that. Apparently, though, they gave us the foul. What is Masogo's free throw form looking like? Oh, it's quick. Even though we couldn't figure it out on the second shot either, we're still in a solid position after we got a stop, except they just got one right back, trying to run the court on us, and it's going to work out for them. Our offense is just stalling out. The pick and roll isn't always going to go well. But you know what? I have an idea on who we need to put in. How did that roll in? That didn't make physical sense. I'm putting Carey in, though. We're going to see that change very soon. And it's actually going to come right now. We want the pick and roll. Looks like it's going to be from our center, but you know what? He is athletic. Are we going to be able to get a defensive stop on Ohio State here, though? Trailing by 4. We really, really need one. That almost fell, but it didn't, and we're waiting for that pick. Give us the roll. Barlow's actually going to take it himself, and he missed it. He missed a layup. He's like a 5-star player. How can you be whiffing a layup like that with the season on the line? Now we're giving up this jump shot. It's going to be a 6-point game. Somehow, though, they missed. We thought we were going to have the pick and roll for a second there. I like the spin. I don't like the finish. And this is where we're going to have to force Ohio State into a mistake. We're going to have to get a steal against them. We're going to have to get a jump ball or something, just trying to trap. Maybe they missed this shot. I mean, they have to miss it. We're literally down by 4. There was no other way. And we also need a clutch 3-pointer. Okay, here we go. Start fouling. We'll see where they try to throw it in this time. And we got to get out there. I'd really love to force a steal for one of these inbounds passes. And that's exactly what we've done. Cross-court pass. Cruz, drive in. Can he finish this? He gets a foul. It's a blocking foul. Thank goodness. I'm a little nervous, though, because I don't remember what his form is like. It is shaking, and we are going to have a slightly late release. This free throw would put us in front with a spot in the Final Four on the line. We now have 12 seconds to get a stop against Ohio State. Wirtz has been a pain, not just last season, this season too. And it's a backcourt violation. We just forced their best player into his first turnover in the last 2 seasons. And I think we can literally run out the rest of this clock. There's only a few seconds remaining. Unless we make the same mistake as them off of the inbounds pass. We almost ran out of bounds there. And it looks like they are going to get us to the line. However, they would need to hit a full court shot to beat us. They didn't even have time to get it off. We are headed to the Final Four with Grand Rapids. Look at that guy who's just laying on the court, by the way. He put his head up for a second looking for attention. And that was such a great game. Looks like between Louisville and Miami, Florida, Miami was able to come out on top. If we were to beat Miami, we'd play Oregon in the national championship. It's becoming very real. And we're so close to where it's 3 a.m. I want to finish this rebuild tonight, but at the same time, I feel like we got a better chance if I just get a good night of sleep. The good thing about waiting too is I won't be as upset if we end up losing in the Final Four or even the championship, because now I just have a whole day to continue rebuilding this team. But I could come out a little bit rusty at the beginning of this one, and that's going to rim out, but we should be able to put it in with a foul. Masogo opening this one up correctly. I forgot that his free throws were that nice. And that is the shortest last name I have ever seen. We got just 2 letters on it. They're going to try and take that jump shot. They get it to the power forward, and they're going to hit it. They also force a steal immediately. We shouldn't have been trying to get rid of that ball fast. I always want to beat the press whenever we can, but it typically doesn't go well. That's how they get you. In real life, you're panicking whenever they press. In this game, I'm just thinking it's a great opportunity to score fast. But again, most of the time, it just doesn't work out that way. And Masogo is putting in work. So far, Miami doesn't look that good. This small forward also doesn't seem to have the best jump shot in the world. Just looking at the bars underneath him, that's kind of a cheat code. You can see how well they can shoot. And the zone that Miami is in is not working at all. I'm thankful for it, though. Did they just leave Barlow wide open for 3? Then he missed it. It won't matter. I'm just very confused at why they're playing the way that they're playing. See, this is where we could really get on a run and hit that 3. What an opening to this game. We made the right decision waiting for it. I am almost positive in the numerous games that I played yesterday, we didn't start off this hot in any of them. And I'm really starting to wonder, not only how did Miami get here, but how are they a 2 seed? They can't be getting that board. It's a foul. A shooting foul is kind of crazy, though. He didn't even shoot the ball. But it is what it is. Their defense is still going to lead to some open corner shots that still worked out. And this is amazing. This is what teams must have felt like whenever they were getting hot against us. However, we just threw it into them. They catch you off guard with that every so often, so they're back within 7 points. and we need to be smart about how we end this first half. We've played well, but not well enough to where this game is just over already. Can't believe that fell. But that might have been the last positive moment of this half until we knock this ball loose. Miami has scored 4 straight. There's 5 seconds left. I hope they don't get off a shot at the last second. Why did we end up not guarding him? I thought we were just going to cruise to a win for a second, but like I said, it was nowhere near over. It was the first half, and now it's 20-18. I mean, we still have a lead, but that is quickly gone. And part of it was avoidable. They almost got a steal out of that too. But part of it also is just we stopped scoring with ease. Thankfully, Seaman was able to put that one in, get the and one play. And we have made them take their sweet time here. It's been about 25 seconds now, but it all leads to an open 3. We're going to try to come off of this pick, though. Maybe the roll is there. It clearly wasn't. Going cross court. Contested shot is in. And that is exactly why we made the decision to have Barlow out there. But again, his impact isn't really being seen because Miami keeps on scoring. I literally can't remember the last time that this team missed a shot, which is actually insane. But Cruz left open, hand. And I am so glad that we were able to lock down on the other side of the court, because now we have an opportunity to go back up by a point. Somehow we still have the ball, and this is just a disaster. That's not going to go in. Maybe we can force a 10-second violation, though. It might be 8 seconds in college. I'm not really sure which it is. They just got to throw it across the court. And is it the NBA that it's the 8-second violation? I really, never watched the NBA. I would not know. I was tuned in when I was younger for the Paul George Pacer days, but ever since then, not really. And we've just gotten so sloppy with the ball. Miami still has a 1-point lead. Minute 40 left. Trying to draw us with that pump fake. It's not working. They're also sloppy with the ball. I was thinking we could run the court here, but we're not going to be able to. There's 4 guys on us. I don't even want to take that jumper. See, now that it's been a bit since we've scored, it is terrifying to move the ball anywhere. Hang on. This was our answer early on. And who are they going to be throwing the ball into right here? I felt like we could have stolen that. We knew exactly where it was going. He's not a good 3-point shooter. He had 1 bar. Well, now we just need to be smart. As much as I really want to take this 3-point shot, we should take time off of the shot clock. And I'm still annoyed that they went away from the zone that they were running earlier on. We've drawn so much attention right here, though. Now we got to get this down low. We still got to put something up, and it doesn't fall. Okay, if Miami gets a bucket here, they can take the lead. I'm not sure if they're going to settle for the final shot or not. Probably a mistake to be hitting a fadeaway with our center there. But it looks like they are down to 11 seconds now. I'm feeling kind of confident in our defense. I don't know why. Probably shouldn't be jinxing that. 4 seconds left. 3, 2, 1. Force it. Steal. Block. It's over. That was the calmest, most comfortable closeout to get into the national championship game. Even our players aren't celebrating. But we have done it. Grand Rapids moves on. Now, if we made it all this way to just get our hearts broken by Oregon, that is going to sting. But then again, our incoming class already has 2 guards signed that are 5 stars. We're going to keep on signing more of them. And this type of run is solidified that Grand Rapids is here to stay. I don't think this is the college game that has the conference invites, though. That might be the one thing that puts NCAA basketball 10 over this one. The recruiting in that game could have been a little better as well. I'm not sure. I feel like this game is the better college experience. There's a reason whenever I want to scratch the itch, this is the game I decide to pull up most of the time. And what a start for us in this game. Except, why are we so far backed off? I don't know what we're thinking. We just gave them an open 3-point shot. They're going to try and give us another. Masogo? Is this who we need to work with? I mean, thinking back to the Miami game, that was the guy that got us rolling originally. But he did just miss a super easy one, and we're going to dish it down to him. 1-on-1, get to the corner. Glover is going to miss. Oregon is also getting an open 3. I'm surprised it did not fall. But I'm having absolutely no luck with Masogo on the center. He's playing great defense. Thankfully, Seaman can hit. That's a couple 3s for us already. We just blew by them with Cruz, and they're going to get the easiest drive in response. There are a lot of things with this gameplay that sometimes feel out of your control. But that's why I was saying, if we could get our defensive coaching ability up, we'll have a much better time playing defense. What we're looking for right now is Masogo. 1-on-1. He gets right into the hoop. And Oregon has put in their backup point guard. He can still shoot. But this could be an opportunity for us to capitalize, especially if they're just going to sit in zone. We're going to get open 3-point shots. Souffrant with the board. Then he's getting blocked. Might as well just dish this one out. Move it around. Can we please make that? You know what? Things are actually going pretty well. Never mind. That was literally one of the fastest jinxes ever. We're still up by 4, though, with a minute 23 left in this first half, and they just missed a shot. So we got a chance to capitalize, getting even more I don't think we're going to shoot another. Maybe I should have just thrown it up, though, because they are going to get two. Right after we wasted plenty of time to just put up a bad shot down low. Souffrant, redeem yourself. Coming out of their timeout. We got a steal off of that. We timed it perfectly. I have been trying to do that basically this whole video. But Parker is a tiny point guard. We might be like 7 inches taller than the guy that we're guarding. 5 seconds left in the half. We might as well just go for the double team here. Don't let them get off a shot. We could not contest that with Parker. He was too short. It's ridiculous. We knew where they were going, but we're only up by 3. Cruz is a little bit of a better size matchup for us. Good start for Oregon in the second. And I wish when I was calling for these quick pick and rolls, it was going to be Masogo, but Seaman will get the job done too. To be fair, though, it's usually just not as well. I mean, 35's got a nasty crossover. And with the way that he moves alone, he just reminds me a lot of KD. He hits both. Looks like they are going to go back to running a 2-3 zone, though. I love that. Only if we were hitting our shots, now they're up by 1. We're legit dealing with cherry picking in the national championship game. Glover getting all sorts of attention here. There we go. But is it really going to matter? Oh, no, it's not. There was a behind the back pass. That's going in. Oh, well, though, we had this look just lined up for a while. And I'm honestly begging the Ducks to stay in a 2-3. What are we even supposed to do about that? It's just going to be very hard to win this game. But you know what? We've stayed in it. We keep taking the lead back, and it is setting up to be a classic finish. What a defensive play. As time goes on, though, we really haven't been able to pull away from the Ducks much at all. We're waiting for our pick. Look at the roll, and it's going to go well. I think the best thing I could do is stay on the guy that's manned up on their center, force him to the line. And they actually don't have a traditional center on this roster. They just have 2 power forwards out there. It hasn't felt like it, though. They've played great defense. Pick and roll isn't there. Cruz is kind of getting locked down right now, but we have a dish. Go to the corner. Well, 5 seconds left. We're going to have to get off a shot eventually, and it falls. You know what would be really big, though? A steal right here. We just got our hand on that. And after pump faking, they're going to go and make that shot. Oregon has so much going their way in this game. How are we not capitalizing on that opportunity there? They're even trying to get a steal. We call for the ISO, but really, we just wanted the pick and roll. Maybe we'll just go for it again. Come on. Eventually, it's got to work. It's got to work. 43 seconds left now. So much pressure on the Ducks on this possession. We cannot give up a 3-point shot. That is the #1 thing that is on my mind. But we're also going to have to head to the line. When it comes to free throws, Cruz is the best that we have on this team. He's got 89 free throw, and he's going to be able to dribble out some time off of the clock before they eventually get enough fouls. Typically, I would feel kind of bad about doing something like this, but we're in the national championship game, and at the moment, Oregon needs to get somebody over to Cruz fast. There's 10 seconds. You know, we could probably do it one more time and win, but you know what? I am a man that is going to take my free throws. And I am probably going to regret this. I don't remember what his form is at all. This is bonus. If we miss this, Oregon has a chance. Perfect release. They could still hit a 3 and send this game to overtime. I always knew we were going to hit that one. Here we go. 5 seconds left now. They're way too slow at the moment. They get it. Blocked. It's over. It's over. Grand Rapids is winning. The national championship goes to the Mastodons. We have done it. And that was awesome. I really enjoyed this rebuild. We had a great time in the MAC conference. It's the perfect way for players like Barlow, Cruz, Glover to end their college career as well, since all of them have now graduated. And it is no surprise I was able to win Coach of the Year. If we look over the course of my entire career, it took me 9 seasons to win a national championship, so that is 1 season faster than Mississippi Valley State. And we have 2 guards on this team that are going to be entering the draft. Our 6th man, who was the starter for most of the year. Maybe one of these days, I'll do a rebuild where we can get all 3 national championship trophies filled up, but for now, I'm content with just 1. And we have a ton of coach awards in this section, but we don't have as many team awards outside of conference championships. The stats that we had with our players throughout this video just weren't that great, but I hope you all enjoyed me bringing back Grand Rapids for a video. Again, I've had a blast with college basketball, and if you want to see one more college basketball rebuild before March Madness is over, let me know.